No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. And today, I'm sitting down with Low Tier God. How you feeling, man?
It's unbelievable. I'm happy to be here.
It's unbelievable?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I went from like scrubbing toilets at Goodwill and taking trash off the trucks and selling it to No Jumper. That's crazy.
Right, yeah, quite a journey. You got a name that I've just been hearing over and over for the past couple of years. Yeah. And then I finally was like, all right, fine, I'm going to do the YouTube dive and watch like an hour, see what the this guy's about. Yeah. And I was pretty intrigued, and I got kind of deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole.
That's what it is. It's a rabbit hole. So if you watch one video, you can't get out the rabbit hole. Mm-hmm. It's just like, so what did you see that like made you want to be like, yo, I got to interview this guy?
I saw somebody who you seem like you have a really hard time not just being yourself. Mm-hmm. And we live in a world where if you want to be an influencer, if you want to be a creator, if you want to be out here doing this whole thing, there's a million examples of people who are trying really, really hard to protect a brand and an identity and to do something that's going to check all the right boxes so they can get the brand deals and so they won't have people making threads about them on Twitter. And you seem like somebody who, you know, has the potential to be this sort of clean-cut creator, but it's just not in you. It's just not who you are, and you just have something to say, and you just, you know.
Yeah.
They talk a lot about, like, the toxic gamer thing, and I think you sometimes are kind of used as, like, a substitute for that now. But, I mean, you're a young man coming up in this world. Aren't we all a little toxic on that trajectory?
I mean, yeah. So the thing about my whole story is I never got into it to be toxic. I just kind of was like, you know what, let me get a camcorder, let me record the monitor and just record what I'm doing. And it just came out naturally. And then over the years, it just went from me gaming to just doing stuff in media, covering viral topics, things like that. But obviously, I mean, in this day and age, you got to be on a filter.
Oh, so South Central? Or where in LA did you grow up?
Oh, where'd I grow up?
Yeah.
A little bit in South Central, so like off of 51st and Western.
Oh.
Was there for a while. My mom was like, yo, we got to get you out of here.
Was it gnarly?
I mean, stuff definitely happened on the street. Stuff definitely happened on the street. Yeah, it was some stuff that happened. So in LA, I was always that kid that I was quiet, I was tall, so a lot of kids wanted to try me. I spoke different. I was, you know, I liked video games. Like that, so I was always being tried.
Because there's this whole blurred trope now, but you growing up wasn't like a cool, ironic, hip, trendy thing to do, to be a gamer or whatever.
I wasn't that guy. Growing up, I was always like teased, but I think that's what helped me. Like everybody hated me because I was tall. So I was tall, I was quiet, I was like.
How tall are you?
Like 6'5".
And there's something about being taller, because I feel like I'm kind of in the same box. I'm 6'3", and something about the fact that I didn't want to play basketball, and I just wasn't like trying to be on some jock type thing. I definitely felt like I got a lot of from people as a young guy.
I mean, I still get it. They're like, oh, do you play ball or are you an athlete? I'm like,
I answered that question about 5 billion times when I was young.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Oh, you play basketball? No, I have no coordination. It's not happening.
Oh, so you can't play ball at all?
No, I'm trash.
Not a shot, not a dribble?
I mean, I feel like I should work on it because maybe I could get somewhere with it. But you were never into sports and stuff. What do you think it was that drew you to video games? Because I'm same exact way. Obsessed with video games as a kid. Didn't want to go outside. Didn't want to be, you know, I was just kind of, I like that experience of just being insulated in that world.
I mean, I wasn't even like the type of kid that liked to stay in the house. My first sport that I ever played was tennis. So my mom had me in tennis. She was a single parent, so she had to take me out of tennis. Then she put me in baseball, so I had to get taken out of baseball. Then I was in basketball, got taken out of basketball. So I always liked sports, but I guess I was too shy to pursue it at that particular time in life. So I think that's what it was. I didn't come out of my shell until I started touching the internet. That's what kind of helped me.
What was it about fighting games in particular? Because just to date myself, like all through elementary school and then like halfway through high school, Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat 2, and then kind of like around the time I was like 15 or 16. I feel like the last console game I really spent way too much time with was like Tony Hawk 2 and Final Fantasy 7 and that sort of era.
Yeah. So you're asking me What drew me to video games?
Yeah, and what about fighting games in particular?
Games.
Because I had a big fighting game era in my life, but then I kind of just stopped at a certain point. And then when I see somebody like you streaming it, I'm like, I missed that. Like I should have stayed with that.
I mean, what drew me to fighting games is like the competitive aspect. So I always liked playing like that, right? But I'm playing against the computer as a kid. So once I found out you could play online, that's when it became addicting. So it was like this game called Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. So I traded like 2 Sean John velours to my friend. Got his Xbox, got his Ethernet. I was up to like 4 a.m. in the morning. The rest was crack. So Street Fighter 3 Third Strike online, that's what kind of got me into like fighting games on that type of level. And so growing up in LA, I was beating everybody in the neighborhood, you know, like, oh, I could beat you in Street Fighter, this and that. And I met this one kid who just me up in everything, and it just changed my perspective.
Really?
Yeah, so from that on, I was just like, damn, so there's a different aspect to fighting games.
So you really started like studying and working on the game and like trying to figure out how to be better?
Yeah, because there was a particular time where I cared about that. So I think the last time I cared about that was 2018. Yeah. And then I just completely flipped the script. I just was like, well, I'm not going to play competitive, so I'll just be a character. I'll just put it out there, basically.
Right.
As a character.
Damn. So, okay. Like that feeling of loving a video game so much and just spending a lot of time with it and like not being able to go to bed because you're just having so much fun playing it. You had that in spades when you were younger, and then it just started to dissipate as you, like, I don't know. Why do you think that kind of went away with time?
It went away because I just got bored. I just felt like I got stagnant with it. It was like I could release this video of me playing Street Fighter, or I could like go over something in media. I think the first video I ever did to like, I guess, kind of get good views on YouTube that was different was, remember the H&M kid that wore the hoodie that said like Monkey of the Jungle?
Oh, yeah.
So I covered that. After that, I just like started doing different shit, reactions, food reviews. I just started changing my shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. But do you still have that feeling with video games ever? Like, or is that kind of faded into the background, that like addictive
A competitive
feeling of just being so into it? Yeah.
Nah, so I only game when I stream. So, I mean, I guess when I cut it on, but as far as like the urge of like need to being the best, like, nah, because there's no money in it. So
Really?
yeah.
So you could be the best Street Fighter player in the world and it doesn't mean anything financially?
It's not a real accolade. Nah, it's like,
Really?
I mean, there's like $1 million tournament Capcom is holding this year, but
Right.
I mean, the chances.
Few and far between.
Exactly. So let's just say this. I can go on 20 auditions to try to be an actor, right? Or I could play a Street Fighter tournament and maybe win, or I could probably land a couple of auditions. So,
But it's like you're never going to do something with fighting games that's going to like take you to a higher level. It's just the deeper and deeper into the nerdy recesses of this hobby, right?
so I feel like I don't have to, because my audience is different now. Like I still have that. So here's my fighting game audience. There's like a different audience. Like when people come up to me, they don't say, I know you for Street Fighter. So, oh man, it's when you went over this, that was crazy. When you talked about this, that was crazy. Oh, like I've been watching you for years. So it changed.
Yeah, because there's like a ton of video game type people who like want to transition into that, and it's actually really hard for people to follow you to that. So the fact that you have any kind of level of stickiness across the board with that, it's like it seems like anybody who's like really talented on camera at some point pivots away from the video game and more into the personality. All those phase guys ended up being vloggers and shit.
I mean, that's kind of like the transition I started to take in 2020. Started focusing on a different aspect. And I guess with my audience, I feel like I'm blessed because the second I stopped playing Street Fighter, they could have tuned out. So the fact that I could kind of do anything on stream, like, yo, they're like, yo, you gonna go over this topic, that topic, that topic? I'm like, should I cut on games? They're like, no, let's keep going over topics. So the height of my audience is no longer video games.
Right.
It's different now.
So, okay, at a certain point, your parents moved you out of South Central to where, Antelope Valley?
Yeah, to the AV.
And what was that environment like as opposed to being in the city?
I mean, I still had issues, but not like LA issues. So it was a little bit more subtle. It wasn't as critical. I started to meet different kids. Because, you know, in LA, it was just like, you know, you had blacks, you had Hispanics. But now I'm like interacting with white kids for the first time, Asian kids for the first time. So things are a little bit different. Yeah.
And do you like it more? It was like less of a culture of sort of toughness and people fucking with each other?
I mean, I still had to like go through shit because I was still quiet and I was still tall. So people would still like try shit. I don't know. It's something about me where like people, they just want to try me. I don't know what it is. Even to this day on the internet, people still want to try me. I mean, you've seen a bunch of videos.
Yeah, but do you like walk through the Walmart and like some random guy wants to fight you?
Nah, nothing like that. Nah, nothing like that.
Okay.
Nothing like that. That's actually never happened before. If anything, maybe these days, I guess, it's more so, oh shit, you should kill yourself guy. So it's more stuff like that.
And so, okay, your reputation is that like when you started streaming that you kind of like, well, did you intentionally pivot into sort of, you know, being really aggressive to your fans and talking shit to the people you were playing against and shit? Or was this just genuinely who you were as a person?
That's always who I was. So even just before hopping on the internet, me and my friends would always talk shit. Like, it doesn't matter what game it was, we would talk shit, I would talk shit. That's just what it was. It was always in me. So I was like, you know what? Let me just start recording it. I was like, fuck it, I'll just start recording it. Went to Walmart, got a $60 camcorder, put it towards my screen. That's how I started.
So you weren't watching any other streamers at this time, or were you?
I think I was watching one streamer. His name was Max. He still plays fighting games, Maximilian. I don't know if you heard of him, but outside of that, no. I was watching competitive Street Fighter play, and I was like, let me put a different twist. Let me record my rage. Because I would sit there and do it by myself. So I was like, man, fuck that. Let me just record it.
And you didn't think to get like a webcam and a capture card and all this shit? You were just like, let me get a handy cam and just put it on a tripod?
Because I didn't know about that type of shit.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't know about the capture card until after. Like, I didn't know how to edit or any of that type of shit. I was just like, let me just record it to the screen and upload it. And I would spam my shit to anybody who was popping in the FGC. I would just spam it to everybody. I kept spamming it. But even before I did that, I had like a video go viral. I don't know if you've seen it, but it was like a message to Boogie. It was like, that was before Low Tier God existed.
Right.
Yeah, that was different.
And that got a ton of attention at the time. Making fun of Boogie is kind of like low-hanging fruit, right?
Yeah. Like, I wouldn't do that shit today. But back then, my friend, he was like, yo, like, he kept sending me his videos. I said, yo, if you keep sending me his videos, I'm going to make a fucking video.
Right.
So I did that pre-Low Tier God. So that was actually my first video on the internet.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Boogie, like, yeah, I don't know what it is that just sort of infuriates me about him at times. Because I've interviewed him. I've been around him. I was in a group chat with him for a long time. But there's just something about the way that he sort of talks about himself and just sort of downplays himself and just makes himself seem so helpless. I mean, I feel bad for him because he claims he has like no money. He's like fucking bankrupt and stuff, which is crazy because I remember he would always talk about how he was like giving money to these game stores and he was just like giving money away and shit. And I remember thinking like, your financial future is not secure enough for you to just be giving all your fucking money away. What are you thinking?
Facts.
And so now when I see him talking about being broke, I'm like, maybe I should have verbalized that to him. But what was it about Boogie that really pissed you off?
He was fat. So it's like, that's all it was. He just, I don't know, I always had this like, even I got to catch myself today. It's like, I'll catch myself slipping. I'm like, I'll keep thinking like, oh, the fat motherfucker get across the street. Like somebody's fat walking across the street. So I'll catch myself. So yeah, it was just because he was fat. It was nothing else. I was like, stop sending me his fucking videos. He kept sending them. So I was just like, you know what? Let me just write some shit and record it.
I mean, there is something that it's not considered polite to talk about or anything, but there is something where when you see somebody who is like nearly immobile because they've allowed themselves to become so fat that it's like you have to basically be lying to yourself to not acknowledge how just sickening that is and how you as a person who manages to stay in relatively good shape, you just kind of look at him and you're like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? Like, how did you do this to yourself?
Yeah, how did it get there? So, yeah, I mean, I watch 600-pound life with my audience sometimes.
Right.
And we'll just be sitting there watching them eat like 5-6 pizzas. And I'm like, how the fuck did it get there? So I'm like narrating 600-pound life. So yeah, I mean, I could kind of go kind of anywhere these days with shit. Like,
right.
Yeah, I don't have to cut on a video game anymore if I don't want to.
Right.
Yeah.
But so, okay, when like you start to get this like reputation for basically being this troll / like angry person, What was it? Would you say that it's just like the fact that you're kind of like incentivized to just be that really raw version of yourself?
Yeah, I think it's because the thing was like the shit that I would say, I never planned it. So it's just more like, I guess it came out as natural. You know, when some people try to fake go viral, I never tried to do that. I would say shit going about my day. And the next thing you know, like, especially 2020, that's when everything started coming back. I'm like, damn, I don't even remember saying that. And then it just came back. But it was just natural. I wasn't just like, you know what, let me write down my fucking jokes. I'm going to say this, I'm going to do this to your mom, this, that. I never did that.
Right.
Yeah, it just was
real
natural. Yeah.
Real anger.
Yeah, real anger because I couldn't control it back then. Really? I was always a hothead. So, yeah, now I can control it. So things are different.
How'd you learn that control?
Shit. I really just started to ask myself, was it worth it? And I would just get crazy migraines. And yeah, I think it was 2018 I had a transitioning point. Before then, I was like, you know, slamming my head in the steering wheels. You know, this is shit I don't tell anybody, but yeah, I was a hothead.
It's like anger in general.
Yeah, just a rage, just rage.
You ever do like therapy or anything to try to work on this?
Nah, because I don't believe in therapy.
Really?
Yeah, I don't believe in therapy.
I mean, therapy is really just like talking to somebody else about your problems and what you have going on. And it's nice to have somebody who's like an impartial third party.
That's my thing is like, I never needed anybody to help me mediate my thoughts. I feel like I could solve it all up there myself. So I was taking walks through deserts, fucking self-talk, self-therapy is what I like to call it. Yeah, but therapy, nah.
I feel like streamers need therapy because streaming is like one of the most like unhealthy things I could think of, and you see that sort of pan out. Or like some people develop a really healthy relationship with it and they can just do it 60 hours a week and it's just natural to them. But I feel like for a huge percentage of people, you know, having this number of viewers that you're kind of constantly judging yourself by, and the incentives of the platform basically cause you to maybe be like a different version of yourself to court an audience, and you know you're incapable of just sort of like judging yourself on your own internal metrics. You're constantly looking to the chat for approval, and I feel like it's easy to lose yourself in that. And I think that therapy, if anything, is really focused on sort of being able to free yourself of that, I guess.
I mean, that could work for some people, but when you're doing things in entertainment, like I like to call it the world of smoke and mirrors. So if I'm famous and I have 20 chicks in my DM, right? But I'm not famous and I don't have 20 chicks, why would I believe the 20 chicks post-fame is real? So for me, it's like I wouldn't say I go into character when I stream. I'm just a more amplified version of myself when I stream. That's basically it. Like other than that, I'm like, Brad Pitt in the interview. He's just chilling, cool. But then you see Natural Born Killers, it's night and day.
Right.
It's like, I wouldn't say it's a form of acting, but then again, you are playing somewhat of a character in a sense. You got to entertain.
Edward Norton, I think, got divorced because when he filmed American History X, he was so in that neo-Nazi character that it ended up negatively impacting his relationships.
Yeah, method acting. Yeah, method acting. I mean, I feel like what's important for streamers too, I would say acting classes.
Yeah.
Because there you could really peel back layers you never knew existed.
Really?
We take acting classes, you look at things differently. You crack open a different code to your brain you never knew existed. So
interesting. I never thought of it like that.
I've taken a few acting classes.
So what was acting's role in this whole puzzle while you're doing the streaming thing and the video game thing? Are you always kind of thinking about acting at the same time, or were you actually pursuing it?
I mean, there was a point in time I was pursuing it, but I mean, this shit kicked off more. And so my end goal is always to go back to like, I could still do this and try to act too. I just have like heightens of myself that if I don't achieve, I'm just gonna feel like a fucking failure. So acting is like, it's something I really want to fucking do. But the streaming shit is just popping.
Streaming is like you. Yeah. Whereas acting is like the least you thing possible. It's just you difficult. Pretending to be somebody else for a period of time.
It's the most difficult, I think it's the most difficult art form, period. As far as entertainment goes, it's extremely difficult.
Do you think you're naturally talented at it?
No.
Really?
I realized that with the classes. Like, didn't know how to read a script, didn't know what this word as far as like how to present yourself, certain eye contact. It's difficult. I wouldn't say I'm a natural at anything though. So, but definitely not at acting. I'm not a natural. Even though some people might think I would be, but no.
So you weren't a natural at the fighting games either?
I mean, I was playing that shit since I was like a kid, but
Right.
no, I wasn't natural on that type of level.
Right.
It was just
At a certain point, it's just obvious. Oh, there's a bunch of other guys who are way fucking better than me.
Yeah,
I'm
of
never
course.
going to be better than them.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I never got into it to be the best. I got into it to entertain. I said, how the fuck do I get on those guys' levels without winning shit? So I was able to do that. Yeah.
And then you started looking at the overall media landscape, and you're like, oh, well, how do I do that instead?
Yeah, so I started covering a bunch of different shit, like the whole Will Smith, Jada thing back in 2020, a bunch of stuff. I just started gearing off into media because it's more enjoyable for me than just gaming. Like, just gaming is boring.
Right. So it feels like these days with streaming, there's kind of like two archetypes that you could go in. You look at Kai Cenat, it's like, oh, okay, that's what you do if you want to remain brand friendly and you want to be able to get all these sponsorships and, you know, be liked by the corporate overlords or whatever. He's obviously like just taking his shit to a crazy level, but he's also managed to stay relatively safe throughout it. Then you look at somebody like Adin Ross, who's just basically like, he had like I remember interviewing him at the very beginning, and he had like a very clean image, and you could kind of imagine him just being gigantic in a certain way, and then instead he decides to go in the direction of hanging out with Andrew Tate and saying the N-word and just kind of basically like taking it as not brand friendly as possible. So like, how do you look at those two routes at this point, those options?
I mean, the Kai route is like, I don't think that could be replicated. Like, I feel like that's like a one-of-a-kind thing. You could try to replicate it, but I mean, when I first discovered Kai, I think it was on an Adin Ross stream, and then one day it just popped up, boom. So the way he's going is, I would say, is more business savvy. The way Adin Ross is going is more so, I don't give a fuck. But I mean, I would choose the Kai route. The brand route that's the way to go. The Adin route, it's like, I don't know where he's gonna go next, but maybe that's his niche. So.
But do you think you even have it in you though to control yourself consistently? Because I mean, if I were Kai somehow, if I were like placed into his body, it would be very hard for me to like constantly not like push at the edges of what's allowed on the platform and shit. Whereas I feel like for him, that kind of self-preservation seems like it comes naturally.
I feel like, you know, how some people, they're natural at personal speaking, some people are not. Everything is a skill. So I think what Kai does is like, I think he's a natural. You know, you could like look in somebody's eyes and be like, damn, they're faking it. I feel like he could just yell in the middle of an airport and that's just who he is. But as far as like the platform goes, like we all got to control ourselves. That's Twitch.
Right.
Like if I could just say whatever I wanted to say without worrying about it, I probably have like 25% more of a good time.
Really?
Yeah, but
what part of yourself are you not putting out there into the world?
I mean, just certain shit I want to say. Like, I mean, I said the word midget and got suspended.
On Twitch?
Yeah, because I didn't know it was a slur.
That's insane.
I had to Google, like, is midget a slur? And yeah, it's a slur. So it's just little shit that I say. I got to filter. I got to edit myself. I got to edit my voice in order to be able to survive. Not really survive on the platform, but like be friendly enough towards the platform. Yeah, like on YouTube, I said whatever the fuck I wanted.
It is crazy when you look at Twitch because it feels like such a giant percentage of the biggest creators have kind of moved on, either because they were kind of edgy and offensive or because they just got offered deals in other places.
Offered deals like where Kick?
Yeah, the Kicks and the Rumbles and the...
I mean,
but then a lot of people like, you think of Adin Ross, it's like, of course, he needs to be on Kick.
Yeah.
He just would not be able to survive on Twitch with the kind of stuff that he's been doing, like humor-wise. And everything.
I mean, shit, he was surviving just fine before.
Yeah.
Until he started getting edgy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess some people, they just got to unleash the beast. I think with him, he just, over time, he's just like, fuck, I'm just tired of just not being myself. And it just, I mean, it played out the best way for him.
And if you're making like millions of dollars a month, it's like, okay, you're not getting the, I don't know, Harry Potter fucking video game brand deal or whatever it is, but you're already making enough money that you probably, you know, could do this for a couple of years and then never work again.
It's true. Yeah, I think Adin is pretty set, but now he kind of just gets to chill and do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, isn't that the American dream, to just make millions and do whatever the fuck you want?
Right.
Yeah.
How do you feel about white boys saying the N-word like that along with Chief Keef? Because Chief Keef didn't seem like he minded at all. I asked Blueface how he felt about it. He was totally fine with it.
Doesn't mean shit. Like, so I say this type of shit on the stream all the time. It just doesn't bother me. I feel like if somebody says the N-word, it's more like saying dude. I know a lot of people might be pissed off at me for saying that because I tweeted something like that a couple years ago, but it's like I got Armenian homies that say it, Hispanic homies that say it, Asian homies that say it. I feel like it evolved into just like saying bro or something. You ever seen a fight video on World Star? Nobody's black. They're still saying nigga. Like they're still saying the N-word. It's an aggression word. It feels good to say. I don't think it's a racial thing.
But when you say that, it's like you're siding with your gamer half more than your black half. Is that accurate?
As far as like when I tell them that they can say the N-word?
I mean, are you just not being offended by somebody saying, a white kid saying it, or just viewing it as, you know, like so many people were horrified when they heard Ninja yell the N-word at the screen. But then everybody who's like played video games kind of perceived it maybe a little bit differently.
It wasn't ER though, right?
I think it was.
Oh, it was? Oh,
yeah.
I mean, that's out of pocket.
And it wasn't like a sentence. It was just that word. Boom.
Oh,
and
damn.
I'm not saying that it's okay at all, but it's like in the video game context, it is a little different.
ER is different.
Right.
A is different. So ER is just like, if you say ER, you've said it before.
Right.
Like you've said it millions of times. It's just not going to slip out. It's just like if I say the F word, it's just not going to slip out. I'm saying it already. I've said it before. I grew up saying it. So, yeah, I mean, I don't have an issue with anybody saying the one with the A at the end. It's not that big of a deal. It's not an issue for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it like, do your peers or like the people you grew up around and shit, do they understand the success you've had, or is it kind of weird because it's in such a niche category?
I mean, I feel like for sure I've had like a lot of leeching and jealousy.
Really?
Yeah, like because everybody knows me for being quiet. So when they pop on the internet and see the shit you see, whether it's family members, people I grew up with, they're like, oh, you're fucking arrogant, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're not the person I remember. I'm like, I mean, this is who I am now. Like, so, I mean, I feel like a lot of people don't understand it. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't understand it at all.
Right.
Definitely a lot of envy, though.
It is weird because it's like, as a streamer, you'll be on there. What's your average stream length?
Shit, like, what do I do? Like, what's my breakdown?
Or like, how long will you be on?
Shit, 6 to 8 hours.
Right, 6 to 8 hours. Now, obviously, almost nobody besides your actual fans are gonna fucking watch more than, you know, like a small chunk of this. But then the 30-second clip of you that goes viral to the masses will be viewed as like a complete encapsulation of who you are as a person. Because obviously just very few people are going to watch a 8-hour stream. And that can be frustrating as a streamer because you're like, well, what the fuck? You're not taking into account the fact that I was saying this, and this contrary to that opinion for the entirety of my stream. And then I said one thing that maybe went against it, and you guys are going to treat that like that's my full opinion. And it's just like, as a result, the perspective that the masses get of streamers a lot of times gets colored just by these little tiny viral chunks.
That's true. And that's what happened with me. Because everything has happened through viral chunks. They're just like, oh, just like when people see me, oh, you're kill yourself guy. I'm walking to Walmart, yo, can I get a picture that you should kill yourself guy? I'm like, I mean, I literally said that because I was like being stalked, and I just thought it was like, you know what, let me chew this motherfucker out. It just came out natural. So, I mean, it's all a part of the game. I've been dealing with this shit since 2015. So I'm used to like scrutiny. I'm used to, I mean, I was doing this when I had like 100 viewers. I would just still be there for like hours and hours. I just said, fuck it. I just always did my own thing. Right.
So, okay, like you get banned on what was Twitch first before YouTube? What year was that, and what was it originally for?
We talking about YouTube or we talking about Twitch?
Well, the Twitch ban came first, right?
Yeah, so before I came back in March, I was banned in 2018. But it was like hateful conduct. But I don't know exactly what I said, but I was different in 2018. So I might have said some shit that, you know, I just don't remember what I might have said. All I know is 2018, I got clipped and I went straight to YouTube with streaming. Yeah, so I don't know what happened in 2018 with that, but I came back 2021 on Twitch. As far as YouTube goes, that's like the stupidest bullshit ever.
What did Twitch decide to let you back in for after 3 years?
I don't know, I just appealed. They just said, you were originally suspended for hateful conduct, follow the rules. Basically, welcome back to Twitch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's great to be back, or were you happy on YouTube?
I mean, it's definitely great to be back. It's like, you know, it's like the fucking gauntlet, like the Thanos glove. Like, I feel like I got a bunch of gems, but my YouTube is gone. So that's what I'm missing. Yeah, and it was just for something so stupid.
Yeah, because your YouTube ban was because you, got banned, and then you were uploading on an alternate account, and then you got hit for ban evasion?
Yeah, basically. I mean, ultimately, yeah, I was watching a World Star Hip Hop video on stream, hovered past 2 Dominican kids about to fight. They gave me a strike for child safety. I didn't know what the fuck it was.
God,
so I was like, what the fuck is child safety? So I'm, you know, YouTube live help, you're talking to people and everything like that. Long story short, I found the stream that they deleted. I just Googled and copied and pasted what the stream was, and it let me see what it was, and I recorded it. And I literally was scanning past a World Star Hip Hop video. So my editor, he was uploading clips on my clip channel, and then they got me for strike circumvention and just clipped my fucking channel. So yeah, I lost my shit for something so simple.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And so you can't really have like an alternate channel anymore?
I mean, anytime somebody's tried making like a positive channel towards me, they get clipped because I got people that are just on my ass. Like,
really?
Yeah, just on my dick crazy. So,
because like Steve Will Do It is banned on YouTube, but I notice sometimes I'll be scrolling through YouTube and I'll see some random different channels that I kind of assume that he owns, or like a LLC that he owns, and they'll be uploading his videos from like Rumble or whatever, and a lot of times they'll have like many hundreds of thousands of views, which granted he was probably getting many millions of views when he was still on the platform, but it's like you're not allowed to have a channel, but in theory you could have a channel that just uploads videos of you. It's just you can't own the channel, right?
I mean, yeah, if I was somebody else, I just feel like...
But you have people on your ass, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So if there's something that's positive on the internet, on YouTube especially, they'll just flock to it and mass flag it. And the internet is like a bot system. So if you spam it enough, the shit just might work. So with me, I feel like I'm the only person that just, you know, can't have like a cloaked channel. So I don't know. Maybe it's been a while. Maybe I can. I don't know.
Do you feel like you have like a real little army, a little league of people that are like dead set on taking you down, whatever you do online? Because that's one thing your man Boogie 298 definitely has.
I mean, yeah, that's been my life since 2015.
Right.
Yeah, I just got, I don't know, it's because I'm cute. As a guy, why would you care what the fuck I'm doing, you know? Right. But it's a whole discord just of people that are just after me, which is just weird. Because if you don't know me, why do you care?
Do you ever look at it? You just hear about it?
I mean, I've seen it and shit. I've looked, but I still can't process, like, why the fuck do you care so much?
Really?
Yeah, like, I mean, it's been my life since 2015. It's just something I just deal with, learned how to deal with.
If any of the people in that Discord were watching, what would you want to say to them?
Keep watching. It's just that simple.
You wouldn't want to discourage them? Try to ask them to like maybe, hey, cut it out, buddy.
That's not what I do. Like, keep watching, keep posting. I used to get mad when people would steal my shit and post it, but I'm like immortal on the internet because you guys keep posting.
But that was kind of part of your heel turn at a certain point where people started to look at you like you're an asshole, right? Because you started getting people's channels taken down for re-uploading shit of you?
I mean, I would like, but I mean, technically you can't get anybody's channel taken down from uploading your shit. You just counter it and it'll just come back. Because I'm not going to go to a lawyer and like, yo, write me some forms to where, you know, some stop forms. So you really can't get your channel taken down for stealing content. So anytime I was like, when I was in my flagging mode, nobody's channel was really getting taken down because they would counterclaim it as fair use and it would just come right the fuck back up. Right. So eventually I just stopped and I just like, wait a minute, this is free promo. So Yeah, keep recording me, keep uploading me.
And now you have people like Andrew Tate who like apparently built his whole audience off of like encouraging his fan base to make TikToks and shit of him.
Yeah, so that's how I look at it. Even if it's labeled negative, it doesn't matter. You're immortal on the internet.
Right.
So, yeah, after a while, I just stopped letting it bother me. Like, fuck it.
I've had people hit me up trying to get money out of me to be like, we do user-generated content. Like, we'll like make you go viral by just like having all these accounts upload your content to TikTok and Reels and shit like that. And like, that'll make you go viral. So like, basically they do the Andrew Tate thing for you. And I was kind of like, people already upload the fuck out of all my shit. And I don't exactly love it because I'm never tagged or anything. Yeah. So it's like, am I really going to pay you more money to make more of that happen? Like, I guess I understand that it like makes you seem bigger when you have all these TikToks and like people just kind of find out about you like that. But at a certain point, it just seems like kind of insane.
I mean, you're losing out on some revenue for sure. Like, fuckloads of revenue. That was my thing. I was like, man, if I could just control every stream of whatever the fuck somebody's doing on YouTube that steals my shit, I could have millions of dollars.
Right.
But I mean, when I look up your shit, I don't see anybody else's shit but yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, so whatever you guys are doing is working.
But then when I look at TikTok, it's like, holy fuck. I would be scrolling through that shit and like half the things I see. Now, granted, it's because I watch my own shit on TikTok, but it's like, I just see so much of it. I'm just like astounded. Like there's this whole little industry of people. That's one thing, just to get big picture, that I feel like one day is going to exist on the internet is like a weird copyright system between all the different social networks, so that like if somebody makes a tweet of a screen recording of a TikTok and like they're able to make a bunch of money from it, like at some point the internet, all these companies have to work together so that can't happen. It doesn't seem right.
You can control TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you own your shit. So even with me, so like I own the name Low Tier God. So what I would do, if it's an account that's stealing my shit and they were on some negative shit, I would just go in there, trademark it, accounts clipped.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, you can control your audience on TikTok because you own your shit. So
I thought about doing that. But
YouTube, you can't. I mean, you can flag it, but TikTok, you can completely control your algorithm if you want to and be the only Adam 22 no jumper. You just flag it for trademark infringement.
Yeah. But you know what is weird about it too is that nobody really makes that much money on TikTok, so it's kind of whatever. But like on YouTube, if you see somebody uploaded something of you and it's got like 1 million views, it can just be like, well, man, that's actually like rent for this month that you just made off that shit, you piece of fucking shit.
Exactly. Especially, I mean, the thing too, you can't see if shit is monetized on YouTube anymore. Remember at first you could see like the little yellow dots to see if ads was running.
Oh, really?
And you can't see that shit anymore. So you don't know if somebody's monetized or not.
Oh, I've had YouTube Premium for so long, but you don't even see the yellow dots on the timeline anymore?
Nah, even, I mean, I got YouTube Premium as well, but even before, they took that shit off. Yeah, because people would complain like, damn, you're putting like fucking 20 ads in your videos.
Right.
They took that shit off.
You would click on a video and not even want to watch it because it's got 20 ads in a 20-minute video. Yeah.
Exactly, yup. That shit's gone.
Damn.
So that 1 million view video you might see, they're probably not monetized.
Right.
Because YouTube is strict now. So I think for the creator program, you have to basically have content that I guess is exclusive.
Right.
So if they're uploading your shit, they might not be getting money. That might just be free promo.
But it's crazy on Twitter now because people can make good money on Twitter. Right. So you got shitloads of people just uploading videos. And also like in the response to, if you have any moderately successful tweet, there will just be a straight row of viral video clips and little fight clips and just screen recordings and GIFs and just whatever they want that seems like it'll do well because everybody's just fighting to get views and content on there, and there's people making 20 grand a month or whatever it is on just posting tweets. So it's like completely changing how people use the platform.
That shit is true. So most people, so Twitter farmers, they just quote popular shit. They just quote it and then just basically, it's a couple of people like that.
Yeah.
That just quote it and try to go viral.
And like anything I tweet, I'll just see like a little war going on between a bunch of different random fucking accounts to get a viral response that'll rank high. So it'll just be up there when people click on it.
And sometimes it'll kill your shit too.
What
like,
a pathetic fucking
your
world.
Tweet with like, you check the quote tweets and somebody else will steal your shit and go viral off it.
Yeah.
And they could just make money off your shit. So, I mean, you can't control online anything. I mean, it's best to just say fuck it and take the free promo.
Yeah. You gotta just look at it long term. But in the long term, I believe that eventually they'll come up with some kind of system so that it doesn't happen. Because you remember like that used to be how it was. Is like people would upload something on YouTube and then somebody would re-upload it on Facebook and make a shitload of money off it. And at a certain point, Facebook just got real serious about not letting people be able to monetize content that wasn't theirs. But we just haven't seen any kind of effort like that from like TikTok or Twitter. So they just end up having everybody re-up everything else that happens all over the internet, you know?
Exactly. The funny thing with Twitter too is I'm not sure if you can still do this, but they used to like clip my Twitter accounts by claiming media that wasn't theirs. So you could just fill out a bullshit form, and before you know it, you're getting popped like for 6 media. So when you have like 9 media complaints, your account gets banned. So I had people doing that shit to me for a while, but I don't think you could do it anymore because I haven't seen it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you can't control TikTok well, you can control TikTok, but you can't control Twitter like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, it's good and it's bad that Twitter is such a ridiculous, like, just hellscape. It's just free as fuck. You can do whatever you want. You can upload porn. You can upload fights. Which is like, when I'm looking at TikTok, I always have this feeling of like, no matter how exciting this clip looks, nobody's getting shot. Nobody's getting punched in the face. No titties are coming out. But when I'm scrolling through Twitter, it's like, I can see a dead body at any given moment.
Yep.
Whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
And because of Twitter, I see so much death without even trying.
That's because you're looking for it. So
well, that's my algorithm.
That's what
I
I'm
follow
saying.
a bunch of fight accounts.
Exactly.
And shit,
See? Yeah. So anything you look at, it's like if you look at ass 24/7 on Instagram, now your whole algorithm is just filled with booty 24/7. So yeah, like mine's is just haircuts and fucking. Yeah.
It's super weird though, because I feel like I've gone through little binges where I'll look at a ton of skateboarding, or I'll spend 20 minutes looking at snowboarding videos, or I'll spend a half hour looking at graffiti. And then the next time I go to my Explore page, it's just like all that. And it's like, it kind of forgets that I like ass, but it'll still be like 20% ass. It never fully lets go of the ass.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little too, they're too on top of it. It's like, just because I looked at snowboarding for 20 minutes doesn't mean that I want to see this for the next 2 weeks.
Exactly. I think if you like spend too much time looking at t-shirts, you should have morphed to t-shirts. If you ever want to fool your algorithm.
Right.
And be like, yo, babe, like, look, I'm only looking at t-shirts. There's no ass, just t-shirts, haircuts. Boom, it's there.
And sometimes we stream on here and we'll stream people's music videos. We'll watch their music videos for donations. And then I get home and I go on my YouTube and it's recommending these same artists that just paid to be on. And I'm like, no, algorithm. This is not what I want.
That's how it works. Yeah. I don't know how they do it, but yeah, anything you look at on any social media platform, your algorithm is controlled by it.
You got a kid yet?
Nah, not yet.
That'll fuck your algorithm up.
Yeah.
It'll be half fighting games and half blippy.
Man, that shit is scary. Having a kid is probably one of the most terrifying things.
How old are you now?
How old do you think I am?
29.
Let's go with it.
Yeah?
Yeah, let's go with it. Yeah.
Okay.
Nah, but no kids.
You could kind of be a lot of different ages, to be honest.
Exactly. So that's what's.
You like,
I mean, it's out there. Yeah, it's out there. But that's also one of the things people like to obsess over when it comes to me. It's just like, so I just started telling people I was 50.
Right.
I said, fuck it.
I mean, the more mysterious you make yourself out to be, the harder it'll be for them to get a grip on, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Mysterious, being mystique. That's what keeps you like in the light. If I tell you everything, then you're just like, okay, well, I'm bored of this guy.
Because as a streamer, as a content creator, as a YouTuber or whatever, where you basically are just putting yourself on camera for hours and hours and hours a day, you don't have the privilege of getting to be Playboi Carti, who's ducked off, mysterious, weird. You don't really like get to hear him talk. You never heard him talk for 10 minutes straight. You've seen him on interviews being awkward as fuck, but he gets to just stand there looking like a bat with the tight jeans and the weird expensive coat. And, you know, he gets to scream into the mic and he puts out an album every fucking 3-4 years and it's just a bunch of weird noises and shit. But as a streamer, it's like you don't get to have that mystery. Instead, you have to just constantly be kind of blowing your personality out and just showing them more and more and more of yourself, right?
Yeah, you don't have the option. Like, I like to call it the Jim Carrey option. Like there was a Jim Carrey documentary where he just like would go in the forest and paint. But you have to get to that status to be able to do that. So if I'm streaming 24/7 and that's my only aspiration, how the fuck do I escape? So I feel like if I'm streaming and, you know, eventually trying to do my acting shit,
right,
I could just say, you know, fuck streaming for 20 days because there's still this much amount of money coming in and just go off the grid.
Right.
Yeah, my Jim Carrey shit. So
it's weird because when you become famous or when it becomes very logical and profitable for you to do shit on camera, then a lot of other stuff stops making sense. Like, okay, me and you have this good conversation. If I wasn't a content creator, if I was just some guy who owned like a fucking record label or whatever, I would probably hit up somebody like you after watching a bunch of shit on YouTube and be like, hey, you should like come by the office sometime, or like we should get lunch sometime or whatever, just to talk and just learn from the person. But because I'm a content creator, in my mind, that lunch seems like a huge wasted opportunity, because if I can have that same fucking conversation on camera and have hundreds of thousands of people enjoy it, that feels like more beneficial, which is kind of like a sick, twisted way to think about your life. But as a content creator, you're incentivized to think about it like that.
True. I mean, what you're talking about is simply time and revenue.
Right.
Like, it all correlates. So, yeah, just like you said, we can go out to lunch for free, but what's the point? We could just sit here and correlate your time and your revenue. So that's how I look at everything.
I have all these friends in the media world that it would be great to sit down and have lunch with them, but we would never do it because we're going to meet up when they're in town and boom, we're going to sit on camera and talk for 2 hours, and then that's what we're doing with our time because it just makes more sense. It's kind of
that's content. Why
but
not?
then those same people, if you have a conversation with them off camera, you end up talking about shit that's way outside the boundaries of what you would talk about on camera. Like I remember I was at Akademiks' office one time just talking to him for like a half hour, and in that half hour of talking, I found out about a lawsuit that he had dealt with that I fucking had a similar thing going on that he would never have said on camera because it's all just shit that we would never want to publicize or whatever, and just like a bunch of different record label shit, different people in the industry. Oh, did you know this about this guy? Blah, blah, blah. All little shit that we would never say on camera. So that's like kind of if you don't have the off-camera conversations, you're kind of keeping yourself away from the good shit to a certain extent.
That's definitely true. There's definitely a lot of shit that I would say on camera versus off.
Right.
For sure. Like backstories and everything. So, yeah, I mean, some shit you just got to keep off camera.
I could ask you about some random guy off camera and you just tell me all about, oh, I fucking know that dude, blah, 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 blah. But I ask you the same thing on camera. It's like, well, I don't want to give this guy the attention of talking about him for 15 minutes, so I'm not going to, it's like there's very different incentives when you're off camera versus on.
Yeah, it's like a certain type of strategy. It's like being interrogated in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, the conversations definitely would be different. You got that type of relationship. It's like that stepbrother relationship. You guys always going back and forth.
Yeah.
Or not going back and forth, but just like, I don't know if you guys are cool or you're cool.
Yeah, we're
some
cool
days.
now. It's kind of weird because it's like we have a business thing that we're kind of like doing together. And so it's like as soon as you start to do business with somebody, then the standard of talking shit about that person becomes a lot higher because it's like you don't want it to affect the way that you're potentially making money together.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. At first it'd be like, I'm going to just crash out on Adam. And then just over time, it's just like, I fuck with Adam. Like shit got a little bit more, I don't want to say gentle, pause, but it definitely... Yeah, I kind of sensed it.
I mean, it went through a lot of different phases, but definitely I think one of the strongest phases was that he was like super buddy-buddy with 6ix9ine. And I was interviewing everybody talking shit about 6ix9ine.
Yeah.
And then I said one thing to 6ix9ine's baby mama about how I thought Ak was kind of like went too hard on girls or like picked on girls or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And me and him, meanwhile, were like not really talking at that point. Maybe we went 3, 4, 5, 6 months without really talking. And he heard me say like one thing like that, and that just kind of like cracked it off, even though I didn't think I was being unreasonable at the time, but he took offense to it. And because we weren't really talking, and meanwhile, in my opinion, he had 6ix9ine kind of in his corner, like backing him up because I feel like 6ix9ine has never wanted to beef with me because he knows that anybody he beefs with, he's making them way, way bigger. So he'll beef with a little Dirk, or he'll talk shit about a King Von, or he'll beef with like big rappers and stuff. But in terms of like media personalities, I think that especially when he was at the height of his career, he didn't want to mention me because he knew that it would fucking blow me up more.
Yeah, strategic with that too.
But he could send Ak after me.
Yeah, I mean, and that worked too, right?
Well,
sent him after you.
Definitely. I do not put that above 6ix9ine by any means.
I mean, that was Ak's niche. It was his niche was like he goes hard on chicks. But I mean, I watch Ak every day just like I watch No Jumper, and I think over the time I think he kind of geared away from that. Like he only goes hard on like Nicki Minaj a little bit or something. But for the most part, I feel like his approach towards women now, or like somebody must have told him behind the scenes, like, yo, like just calm down a little bit.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I don't see it as much anymore.
Well, I mean, he went crazy on SZA, and then I know for a fact, or I heard it from people that like there was real shit happening behind the scenes. Like people really were like trying to figure out where he lived and shit because of him talking about SZA.
Seen it. That was crazy.
So I don't know if that changed how he thought about it or anything like that, but definitely like, yeah, that's a weird thing about, like, I'm in a lot of subcultures, like in rap, somebody will really beat the fuck out of you. Somebody will really shoot you if you fuck up. I'm in poker.
Yeah.
In poker, I know dudes who ran off on the plug for millions of dollars and ain't nobody ever touched them. In the whole entire history of the poker world, I do not barely know about anybody who ever got touched for fucking up.
Yeah. I mean, that's different than street culture though.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Like the SZA crash out, I was watching that shit, gritting my teeth. Like, I said, damn, like, how's he gonna, like, what the fuck's gonna happen next?
Did
like,
it hurt you as a SZA fan, or are you a SZA fan?
I'm not really a SZA fan, but just, you know, you got sisters and shit like that, and you just see that, and it's just like, damn, like were they in a relationship? Even though they weren't, but it's just like you're watching it. Like I would only crash out over somebody like that I fucked and was emotional attached to if I was in that mind state. But yeah, that shit was wild. So I guess maybe somebody said something because I haven't heard shit since.
You can activate a different level of rage in the people by going at a woman, because like a dude might be able to take it on the chin and just ignore you or whatever, but as soon as like a woman feels aggrieved because of something you said, and I have been there too. When Black China walked out on me, I had like this certain people that like I guess I'm supposed to be afraid of showing up in my DMs, like letting me know like, oh, you're gonna die, like you're gonna die, and I'm like, did you watch it? Like I didn't really like say anything that made it like that was so offensive that I think you should be mad at me just because she walked out. Her walking out was kind of like her thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's how it is. I mean, you got a lot of white knights out there, I like to call them. White knights, betas, simps. So,
yeah. So where do you feel like you fit into the red pill world when we have the whatever podcast and the Fresh and Fits, and then we live under the spectrum of the Kevin Samuels as rest in peace and the Andrew Tates and all that kind of shit. I feel like people kind of look at you as somebody who's a little bit red pilled, would you say?
I like to say that I'm not, though, because everything I talk about, I experienced. So if I'm a certain way about a certain situation, I have a certain idea about a situation, I've dealt with it. So if it's like a chick cheating or I'm catching some chick texting somebody this and that, I've dealt with it before. I'm not just, you know what, guys, like this is how chicks are. Like you can't trust them. It's all based off past experiences. So the red pill shit is not even a thing anymore. Like,
you're taking the Sneeko line, saying it's over?
No, like I never been about that red pill shit like that, because I just feel like it's unrealistic. So if I'm working at Walmart, how can I be red pill? Because if you're red pill, you got to be like high, quote unquote, high value. You got to make this amount of money in order to request the type of shit that you basically are asking a woman to do.
Well, that is the weird thing about it, is that it's like the worldview that I hear a Fresh and Fit espousing, where you as a guy should be able to fuck whoever you want and your girl should basically just be doing whatever you say or whatever. It's like, I know rappers who for sure have a relationship like that. I'm sitting here interviewing Blueface with his baby mama, and he's basically saying that he cheats, and she's saying that she don't like it, but she's not going to do anything about it. And it's like, that actually is the world that like Fresh and Fit is telling you about, except that for 99% of guys, you're just not going to be able to get that kind of relationship. It's like a pretty unlikely scenario for most people to be able to land in.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I say the red pill shit is bullshit, because you have to be a rich guy to get away with certain shit, or a guy that really has his shit together. Like, if I don't want to say any names, but there's certain celebrities that have side babies. But if they weren't in that position, would their wives have stayed with them? Absolutely not. So in order to even request this red pill, you got to do this, do that. The woman has to be in fear of losing you in the first place, but she's only going to be in fear if she holds you at a place of value. So if you're just a regular guy, I mean, you're not in a place of value.
My girl has told me in the past that she would leave me if I cheated on her, like on some real like affair type shit, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And then like we were just fucking around like hypothetically, and I said like, what would you do if I fucked Taylor Swift? I'm like, would you just leave me? And it's like, I saw it in her eye that of course she wouldn't be able to leave me if I got like the most high-end designer pussy that you could think of, the most coveted pussy. Of course, that's gonna like that alone is gonna make her go from being the chick who's angry as fuck that you cheated to the chick who's like angry, but also you're staying right here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you could probably get a couple passes based off of like, I guess the experience. So for her, she probably was thinking like, well, I mean, he did fuck Taylor Swift. It was more for the experience. I'm still hotter. So that's probably why she would have gave you a pass. Yeah. I feel like it's like the quality of chick if you cheat too.
Yeah, because when I picture myself having a little side thing, it's more like, oh no, it's like some grimy ass stripper chick that I ran into or something, like, because to go high quality is going to take more work.
Exactly.
If I was going to cheat, I'm not really trying to like take on a bunch of work. I'm trying to just do something easy.
True. Yeah. I mean, I got a long history of all that stuff.
Cheating?
Yeah. It's like
shout out to my wife too. I'm not going to fuck Taylor Swift, even if she lets me. Sorry, Travis.
I mean, would you say in your past relationships though, like you cheated a lot, like before you got with your wife now?
Yeah, and I cheated on her for the first couple of years too, before I kind of got my shit together and started to appreciate what I had, you know?
Exactly. That's what happens. Like, in order to get past that, I feel like you gotta basically burn out your central nervous system when it comes to pussy. Like, if you don't
I like that, yes.
Fuck a lot of chicks, how do you defeat temptation? Like, always tell people you gotta fuck at least, say a man should have at least 50 bodies before he gets married.
I agree. I think 50 sounds like a pretty solid number. Like, cause I can't like a lot of dudes, like, I feel like, man, look at me and be like, oh, like you and your chick, like, we're both doing good in life and you got together and created a bond and then you guys have a business together and you do other shit. And like, obviously the porn thing makes it a little weird, but that's something to be admired. And I agree. That is something dope. But if you're 21 and you don't have any life experience, like I have friends who got into a relationship when they were 18, 19, 20 and got married. And it's like, I remember just watching it and being like, fuck no, that is not going to work. There's no way that's going to work. And then it didn't work because they had no fucking life experience. And the truth is that the girl that they married, to me, would have been a girl that I hung out with for a week when I was 20. And then I fucked her and I learned a little bit about what I liked and what I didn't like. And then I moved on to a different chick and kind of got that experience.
You also morph into like, you ever been with your girl and like you're walking somewhere and you see this like 50, 60-year-old guy just like, those are the guys that was your friends that was 18 that got married. They don't have experience. So,
and they're just horny as fuck.
Yeah, you're just going to get old and get thirsty, basically. Yeah. So I feel like every guy should, before they take that leap, should definitely have like 50 bodies and up.
Yeah.
By then you're used to the pussy. Pussy's no longer a temptation.
And you'll see like a 50-year-old dude in like a full Gucci tracksuit in Vegas or whatever, just being the like thirstiest, just piece of shit. And it's like, that's a dude who never got pussy when they're young. And now they're old enough to afford a Gucci tracksuit to at least act rich, probably not actually rich, but they definitely can like kind of wear the Gucci tracksuit. That's the $3,000 tracksuit. And they're out here just like really trying to project wealth because they kind of missed out on being able to get pussy off being young and handsome and, you know, cool.
That's the issue. Gotta fuck 50 chicks and up. Gotta get out there, experience. You have to cheat. You also gotta get cheated on. Like, I feel like every dude has to experience like adversity when it comes to chicks. Like if you're fucking like 40 and you get your heart broken, you're gonna want to commit suicide. Like, but if you're like 20, you know, like 18, 19, 20, the first couple heartbreaks, they hit different, but once you get like 25 and a chick's playing games, it's no longer an issue.
A huge formative thing for me when I was young, or not young, but when I was 27 or whatever, was that I had this girl that I was pretty nuts over for like 3 months, and she left me for a dude who was famous and had way more money than me.
Yeah.
And that completely, like, it made me depressed, but it also like completely made me reconsider where I was at in my life and what I needed to do in order to like become a more high value male.
She's still with that guy? Or you don't know?
No. I think he is a low key gay dude now. But
that's what I'm saying, man.
She ended up having a baby with some random fucking guy.
She's like, I bet you she's checking her social media every day. Like, damn, I could have been fucking with Adam. Like,
I don't know though. I feel like her hatred of me might persevere through the success and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I think the hatred might be like, pretty sure if you gave her a call, if you were single, she'd be like, you know what? Yeah, let's have lunch.
Maybe, but I don't know. when I look at myself and I'm like, am I toxic? And I think about the fact that out of all my girlfriends over the years, that like most of them have me blocked.
Every relationship I ever had was toxic, like because I have a smart mouth and, you know, either I was caught cheating or, so every actual relationship that I've had was a disaster.
Right.
Yeah, so I said the next relationship, I'm not going to label it a relationship. I'm just going to take the shit day by day. And if we make it to the finish line, we do.
Yeah, I could think of two. The girl that I lost my virginity to in high school and another girl from Oregon that I dated when I was 23 or some shit. Both of them in the last year, we've sent pictures of our kids back and forth and had nice little conversations, which is two girls out of a lifetime of dating girls. It's not that bad, right?
Nah, it's not that bad at all.
Okay, so one of the things they'll always try to use against you is just the fact that there was a clip of you kind of screaming on your, yelling at your girlfriend at the time and telling her to get out, get off stream, etc. What was the context of that, and how do you view that now, years later?
The context, that was when I was on my video game shit. So she used to just come in there and turn shit off because I would be streaming for hours, but I wasn't making any money. So she would just come in there or she would come and annoy me. But I think the clip you're talking about is when we were like sitting there and she was just like laughing. So she used to get a kick out of like me getting angry because we were like basically the same person. Like her birthday was the day after mine. Like we basically were like the same person, but she was like the only chick that knew how to get under my skin. So I don't know. I guess I don't even remember what I said. Like, what was I just talking shit or?
You was just like kind of yelling at her, telling her to get off screen, or like just letting her know. Like, and she seemed a little like bewildered by it. Like she was sort of taken aback. So people, I think, kind of ran with that. Yeah,
they definitely ran with that. It wasn't how it looked. It was more so just I was still in my hothead phase too. So I was just like, yeah, I think I remembered. I was like, get the fuck out of my establishment. Like, get the fuck out of here. I do remember because who the fuck says get the fuck out of my establishment?
Right.
So yeah, that was back when I was on my hothead shit. But I mean, we were on some toxic shit. Like, yeah.
Like, how do you view relationships and whatnot? Are you single right now?
I mean, technically, because, you know, I'm not under contract. I mean,
so you've got girls in your life, but you're not formally monogamous with one.
I mean, as far as like monogamy is more so, to me, it's contracted. Like if I'm married, then it's contracted. But as far as like, you know, if I'm dealing with anybody or anything like that, like, yeah, but as far as like me labeling shit a relationship, to me, that's bad luck. I broke too many mirrors. Like, yeah.
Do you, like, if you're going to be in a relationship with a girl, how do you usually end up meeting them? Like through your community, through online, or these girls who like kind of see you on Twitch or whatever, or do you have an actual social life offline?
I couldn't fuck with a chick like that. Definitely a social life offline. I would say 90% of women that I met, like 2018 and up, have been through social media as far as like a dating app or something. But I don't fuck with apps anymore.
Really?
Yeah, I don't fuck with apps anymore.
It's just not worth it?
I just felt too thirsty. I was like, why am I doing this? Like, so I uninstalled all apps a long time ago. Probably like 3 years ago, I stopped fucking with apps.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely got a social life. A streamer, I mean, a chick's gonna understand me, but they might watch what I say and get annoyed off things that I say.
Right.
Which has happened in the past. I've had chicks completely try to curve me based off what they see when they see on Instagram. They've seen a reel of me saying this and that, talking about pH levels, this and that. They're not fucking with it.
Really?
So it takes a special type of woman to be able to understand me and deal with what I do.
So the same misogyny that wins you fans can be to your detriment.
Absolutely. Yeah, like, that's why I kind of toned down my shit too, because I used to go real hard with the, like, you know, the hard on thoughts movement. And I was just like, you know what? Let me try to win over some of the female fan base. Like, I'm not really angry. It's not really that big of a deal. Let me open up my demographics, crack open my analytics, try to get some women in here that really don't look at me as a misogynist. I've had chicks tell me, like, you're a beautiful man, but you're just an ugly ass person. So,
wow.
Yeah, just based off looking at my Instagram. I mean, damn, I don't see that, but hey.
Damn, it's because like your audience that you've been courting understands the language that you're speaking and the dog whistling that you're doing. And like, you know, if you say something kind of extreme, they understand the context and shit. But then a chick, she don't know nothing. She's
not going to understand it.
Right.
Yeah, unless, you know, some women are like, which is rare. Like some women, they'll just rock or whatever. Like, oh, he's an entertainer, he's acting, or he's just having a good time. Some chicks take whatever you say on the internet as like they let it bleed into your personal relationship.
Right.
That's two different things. Like
I used to have that back in the day where I would go up and date a girl, hang out with a girl, and then I would be talking about her on here, and I would call her a bitch or like, you know, like tell a little story about fucking her or some shit, and like think that she's not gonna fucking see it, and then all of a sudden she sees it, and she's just not fucking with me because I just like put some, and I would always think that I was being clever by not revealing who it was or whatever, but then obviously they figure it out, or they hear you talking about fucking some other girl right away, and as much as all these manosphere type dudes want to convince you that once you're a high value male that girls are just gonna let you fuck everyone, whatever. It's like in reality, a lot of girls want to feel kind of special, and if they realize that you're down to just fuck whoever and that you are fucking whoever, I mean that's probably going to be kind of detrimental to what you're doing.
That's what I'm saying. The red pill shit is a fallacy. Like it's not real. So like I said, it's gonna take a special type of chick. And what's the chances of you finding her where she's like, you know what, like you're successful, I'm gonna let you fuck whoever you want, and I'm just gonna deal with it. Like the chances of you finding that is like slim to none. Like,
right.
Yeah, exactly. So that's an unrealistic approach. The whole manosphere red pill thing, that's why it's like kind of dead. Like, honestly, do you really want to live a life of just labeling yourself red pill, manosphere, do what I say? I like 50-50 in my shit.
I think it was meant to be a temporary interest, you know, of like our society sees a lot of that where like the culture or like some segment of the culture gets obsessed with one idea. Like for a period of time, I fucking forget like exactly what year it would have been, but there was this whole thing called New Atheism, and you had the four horsemen of atheism who basically just like Christopher Hitchens, Sam Harris, a couple other people like wrote books about atheism, and it was this whole movement, and you were always hearing about the new atheism movement and stuff, and it was just like you hadn't had a lot of people writing like really intellectual books about why atheism was a thing, and then a few years later it's just like, why the fuck was that even a thing? Like you seriously, like a big chunk of the world needed to be reading multiple books about there not being a god? Like, seems kind of weird. Like, I don't feel like that shit would really like resonate with the culture that much right now. And I feel like the red pill and the YouTube thing, sometimes I look at the numbers on some of these red pill channels and stuff, and people who do the like dating commentary. I mean, like that guy Brian from whatever, I admire what he's doing business wise and everything, but I mean, he has a true ability to persevere through having a body count conversation every night. And I don't understand where he gets the ability to do that. Because to me, it's like, who the fuck cares about talking about the body count thing this much?
Damn. Speaking of, I mean.
And I understand why it's interesting, for sure.
I made one reel about it. Not sure if you've seen it, but.
No, I didn't.
I made one reel where you could basically calculate a woman's vagina mileage. Yeah, believe it or not.
What factors did you use in this calculation?
So strokes per minute. So if a chick's fucking somebody for, I don't know, everybody does their own personal strokes. So I did some funny shit where I just basically went like this at my personal speed for 60 seconds. So I would measure like, so I'm getting 40 strokes per minute, and then I would calculate the minutes times like, I don't know, a 20-minute session.
Right.
So then that's how many strokes it took in that particular session. So then you just ask the chick like, okay, so what's your body count? If they'll tell you. You just basically calculate it based off, it's estimated. It sounds difficult, but it's easy.
I mean, it's so easy for a woman to lie about her body count that's kind of part of why I feel like it's probably just not even worth asking most girls, is because it's just so easy to lie that why would you believe anything that they say, right?
I feel like every woman should lie about their body count, because if you tell me that, if you fuck 30 guys and you tell me every time I'm with you, I'm gonna think like, damn, like she's solid, but she fucked 30 guys. Like,
so 30 rubs you the wrong way. Like,
I had to say 30 because I've had multiple chicks say, oh, I sucked 30 dicks, or I fucked 30 guys, or I fucked 15 bodies. Or what they really like to say is how you know their line is they'll say, oh, well, I had sex with 3 guys and I was in a relationship for 3, so I fucked the same guy for 3 years, then I met you. I'm like, oh, okay, sure you did. So, yeah, the body count thing, it used to be something I cared about, but now it's just unrealistic. Like, I shouldn't judge because I definitely was super promiscuous.
The older you get, the harder it is to imagine caring about the body count thing, I think, just because it's like, bro, I'm 40.
Yeah.
If I were to end up dating a girl my age, it's like, how many bodies is she going to get in like 25 years of...
Shit, she'll lie. She'll say she's only had sex with 6 guys.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah. And I remember one time I had a girlfriend who, she told me basically like what age she lost her virginity, and I knew how old she was. So in my head, and she had a boyfriend for a period of time. So it's like, in my head, I kind of just did the math real quick. Oh, you've only been single as an adult for like 8 months or some shit.
Yeah.
And then she mentions her body count, and it's like 50 or some shit.
Yeah.
And in my fucking brain, I'm just like, oh my God, she's been like, I forget exactly what it translated to, but it's like, holy shit, that's like her fucking 2 dudes a week for the entire time that she's been fucking, you know? And I know I just fucked that math up, I'm sure. But like, you know, in my head, it definitely made me think twice about her because I was like, you've been putting in an absurd amount of work.
On the low.
And then you met me, and apparently you just want to be in a relationship. That's kind of interesting. What the fuck did these other 50 guys not have that apparently I have?
I got the same issue. I got the same issue. It'll be, I'm the guy where they're like, you know what, I'm going to make you wait, but I also fuck like 25 guys. I'm like, no.
That's a bad feeling.
Yeah.
You're going to make me wait, but I know you've been fucking all these other dudes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so what's a body count that would make you run for the hills?
All right, so there's a special way to answer this question. So I don't think there's any body count that would make me run for the hills. It's if she had a threesome or not with 2 guys.
Really?
You could fuck 200 guys. You had a threesome with 2 guys, it's done.
I can relate to that. I had that in my head for a long time, and definitely I've been in relationships with women, including right now, who had done that in their past, and it was a little bit of a thing for me to get past because there's just something about the idea of a girl being manhandled in that way, and then the wifey category that it's just kind of hard to square that in your mind.
She got to be a real special, one-of-a-kind chick for me to ignore a threesome, like
right.
Doing everything right, checking off all boxes, like, and what is the chances that happen? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I didn't know that I was going to be capable of getting past it, but here I am. And I feel you, though. But, like, it's also a thing that happens in your brain, I think, as you get older, where it's like, well, I want to do slutty, promiscuous shit. So the girl that I'm going to be in a long-term relationship with is probably going to need to be slutty and promiscuous, and probably that's going to be something that was going on in her life before I came around. So you're just going to have to kind of accept that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't judge it. It's just more so like, I don't know, I would just be asking her questions about it. Like, damn, so did you like, so you were sucking dick while getting back shotted? Like, then I just start dissecting it. Like, how did this happen? Like, I once had this chick tell me, and I'm just real clever with my shit. So I'm like, you know, you seem like a freak. Like, and I had a smile on my face and everything. I said, you seem like a freak. You ever had a threesome or anything? And I just made it real comfortable for her. And she's like, yeah, so I fucked these 2 guys in a Scion. I'm like,
a Scion, really?
Yeah. And then my face went, I said, you're unwifeable. You're done. But yeah, she said a threesome in a Scion. Yeah, believe it or not.
They should teach you that in health class in high school as a girl. Like, if you get fucked by 2 guys, don't ever admit it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. Every chick should just lie. If you had a threesome, just lie. Like, yeah, I went back and forth with just this chick before because I told her my body count and she told me hers, but she said she had a threesome. I said, your threesome just hovers over my body count. So she was like, that's unfair. Like, your shit's here, blah, blah, blah. I just had 1 threesome. I said, so what happened? She's like, oh, well, when, you know, my friend's boyfriend was done fucking her, he was just fucking me, so it was kind of weird, and she was just sitting there watching.
What about, try this one on for size. So my wife, when I met her, had a story that she told me about how her and her friend fucked a famous guy together. Compare how that makes you feel in your belly to the idea of her getting fucked by 2 random guys, because that was also a little bit of something for me to kind of wrap my head around, because, you know, you as the dude who's potentially wifing her up, you don't really want to think about her being willing to do that with a guy that obviously was primarily getting this treatment because of his stature.
Here's my thing about chicks who fuck celebrities. So it's about the experience, I think. Like, I don't even think chicks they might not even like the celebrity, but it's about the status. For like a chick to be able to say like, oh, I fucked Drake. I think it's about experience. Like, you know, went to his mansion, fucked him, boom. But I think it's an experience thing. I'd let a celebrity slide because I know it's an experience factor. If a chick says, oh, I fucked Drake before, like I've had chicks that tell me they fucked Trey Songz and everything like that. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it's just an experience. They're like, yeah, I mean, it was cool.
Your pussy is your passport.
Yeah.
Like, you could have experiences as a woman because of your vagina that us as men will just never have. Like, you're never going to be like such a good dick smith that you're going to just end up in a mansion because you went to go get some pussy. Realistically, it's just not really how it works. Whereas like to a girl, like if you met a girl and she was like, yeah, I've been to Drake's house because I met him on Instagram and I went and fucked him. It's like, could you really blame her? Like, why wouldn't she want to do that? Like, if she's not in a relationship, shit, yeah. Like,
that's why I don't judge the celebrity fucks, because it's a once in a lifetime thing. Like, I don't judge. Now, if you just fucking random guys, it's different. But yeah, celebrity fucks. Just like how you said your wife wouldn't trip over Taylor Swift. Same shit.
I think she would trip, but it was just like the tripping out would be paired with not wanting to let me go because of the status of that I have now achieved. Because I feel like once you fuck Taylor Swift once, your DMs are just lit forever.
Basically, man. What's the guy she's dating now?
Travis Kelce.
Yeah, Travis Kelce. Yeah, imagine his DMs.
I heard she's into butt stuff.
Ooh, Taylor?
I don't think it's from a reliable source. I think it was just from like a meme account, but still, like, just the idea of her doing anal is pretty tight.
Yeah, I tried it one time and it destroyed me for life.
You're not an anal fan?
I tried it one time. I had this Cuban chick that would let me do anything to her. So I said, you know what, let's try anal. Worst experience. I'm smelling shit. I'm like, I didn't know she was queefing until I smelled the air, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? That shit slaughtered me for life. I'm like, you know what? No more anal.
That's the whole thing about anal, is that there's just going to be a percentage of the time where it's just going to go bad, and you're going to look down at your dick after, and you're going to have shit all over your nuts.
Exactly.
Or you're going to smell shit. Even like, I had a girl, like, she was wearing a butt plug for like 2 hours before I came over because she wanted me to fuck her in the ass. Yeah. And she like kind of like bends over and shows me, and then she like starts playing with it and takes it out, and it smelled like a dog just took a shit on the ground. Like, you know, it's like hard to be turned on in that moment when it just smells that bad.
So she didn't take an enema before?
I don't know what the fuck she was thinking.
I don't think she did. I don't think most chicks know, like, if you're gonna perform anal, like, you're gonna take it up the ass, do an enema.
And in the gay community, keeping your booty hole clean, there's like a huge premium on that. Like, guys flex that.
Yeah. I mean, I flex keeping my asshole clean. I'm not even a part of that. Like, that's what I'm like, yo, I got a whole ritual. Like,
really?
Yeah, just a whole, like, you taking off the shower head and using it as a bidet. It's just, I don't know, it's a thing. Like, I got to make sure my shit is, because, you know, I don't know. I think that's why chicks don't mind trying to eat my ass. That's probably what it always has been.
How do you feel about that?
Go down there to, like,
you're down to get your deck swabbed?
I mean, the first time a chick tried it, she just like flipped me over. It's like some 40-year-old chick. She's down there. I'm just letting her do her thing. She just like turns me over and just starts trying to eat my ass.
Where'd you meet a 40-year-old chick?
I used to work at like a vitamin store. So they used to just come in and just be touching me and shit like that. So yeah, and it was off apps too.
Wow.
So I had my shit set to like 50 because I was just on some weird shit. So yeah, they were hitting me up. So yeah, that chick was like the first chick to ever like try to attempt to eat my ass.
There's nothing better than being out in public in a random place and seeing a fucking chick who's completely outside of your typical wheelhouse, who like just completely does not fit into your demographic. Like I remember one time I'm out riding BMX with the boys like 10 years ago, and we're at this big ass ledge at some beach, and like there's just like a hot ass Asian woman doing like lunges up and down the fucking stairs. And she's got fake tits, and she's Asian, and she's clearly in her 40s. And I'm just sitting there watching her do these lunges. And finally I'm like, okay, I gotta do this. And I just start talking to her, get her number. A couple days later, I'm in Newport Beach at a bar with her, and then I fuck her, and it's, you know, it's fucking over in like a couple minutes or whatever. And then I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? I gotta drive drunk home, whatever. But like, to just be able to pull some pussy out of thin air while you're just at like the beach.
Yeah.
That's a great feeling.
Talking about the aspect of like just removing social media.
Yeah. And just like spending time with somebody who's completely outside of like the demographic of people. She has no fucking clue who I am. And at that point, I'm just some BMX guy. So why the fuck would she ever care? But it's like that, to me, I understand why girls use their pussy as a passport, because I was like that in my life too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I could understand that. You were like that as far as what though? Like just... You were using your dick as a passport?
The best feeling to just experience new things in life. Gotcha. Like, and even that, like I didn't do anything fancy with that girl or whatever, but like at times in my life where you meet a girl and then you just end up like at a party that she got invited to, and all of a sudden you're rubbing shoulders with people that wouldn't know you otherwise and shit. That's a great feeling.
So you're talking about serendipity.
Yeah.
Which really doesn't exist anymore.
With the internet and shit.
Yeah, they kind of removed that. Yeah, that's what you're talking about, serendipity. I think the last time I experienced that was, it was with my ex. Just like caught her coming out of a movie. I was like, I gotta say something to her. Like, if I don't, I'll never see her again. But now I just don't have that type of fear. Like, I'm just like, oh, when's the last time you've seen a hot chick just at a store? Like, it's rare I see like a hot chick at a store. I see people I would fuck but
people just aren't outside like that anymore. Like, you ever go to the mall and you're like, I didn't see any hot chicks this whole time. And it's like, when I was young, going to the mall was like the only reason you would go to the mall was to try to see some girls.
I mean, that's what happened in Vegas. So I was in Vegas this weekend.
Vegas gives you that feeling of like, oh, I can meet a hot girl at any turn.
Yeah, like that's what happened in Vegas. So not that I'm out there trying to fuck, but you know, you're a man, so you're observing. So I'm looking, I'm like, man, there's like no like fire chicks. Like I didn't see anything where I was just like, oh shit. This is more so, oh yeah, okay, I'd fuck. Basically, but yeah, it's hard to get fascinated these days for me.
So are you anti-jerking off, or what's your policy on that?
Oh yeah, man, I don't believe in masturbation.
When did you hang it up?
Man, I want to say like, realistically, I want to say 2018. That's when I was just like, I don't know, you ever masturbated and felt angry after? It's just like, for me, it got to a point where I would do it and I would just throw my dick down and be like,
get out of here.
I'd be angry like, and just like, clean up and squeeze the tip. But masturbation, I feel like it's for the mentally weak. Like, if pussy's not in front of me or I'm not getting head, I don't need to do it. Because it's just, to me, it's a mental weakness. If I gotta take my pants off, well, think about it first, right? Scroll up porn, because I'm not gonna do it without porn. Scroll up porn, find the creamy back shots category. Gotta be Latina, right? So
creamy Latina back.
Yeah, exactly. That's like the key thing. Creamy Latina back shots, or creamy Becky back shots, anything but like something familiar. I gotta do that. Get horny. Gotta take down my shit. Take down my fucking boxers. Then take my dick. Then stroke it while watching somebody else fuck. Yeah. So I just like, nah, I can't fucking masturbate anymore.
I think I can go from limp dick, no porn on, to 2 porn windows opened up in the browser and done beating off in like 3 minutes, which I don't think is good. I think if you're going to do it, I think you should stretch it out a little bit, because like whatever you're doing when you are jerking off is like how you're training yourself to perform when you do have sex. Yeah. So if you nut in 3 minutes, I feel like you're kind of wishing it into the universe that you're only going to last for 3 minutes. To me, jerking off is like, you just have to do it to prepare for doing the real thing.
I mean, yeah, if you're a fucking performer,
or just if you're just like trying to fuck, like all right, me and my girl were on, we were like filming something for like 12 hours the other day, and early on in the day, we have like a moment where we're kind of over in the corner, like kissing or whatever, and she's like, I want to fuck you tonight. I'm like, oh hell yeah, like we ain't fucked in a minute, like that's gonna be great. Yeah. And then we get home, and right before we start to fuck, I remember like I ain't jerked off in like 3 days. Yeah. And I was just powerless. I only had 2 minutes worth of fucking in me. Like I couldn't hold it together. So to me, jerking off is like putting in reps so that you're prepared when it's really time to.
But then the nut isn't that intense though. If you already, for me, I don't know. For me, it's not as intense if I do it first. And me, I like to imagine different shit. Like I'll imagine myself being somewhere different, or I'll get in a certain position where I can control. Now, if a chick's riding me, that's a different story.
I see you as like a hentai guy.
Not even hentai. Nah, just that shit never did it for me. Like, you know,
I don't get it either.
Like ads pop up where you see like creamy back shots that is animated. Nah, that's never been my thing. Nah, I was always a porn guy. Yeah, I was always a porn guy. Like, and I remember when I first discovered my first tape, I was like 12, and I was just like addicted. Like, I think the most I ever masturbated at that point in time was like 9 times a day. My shit was coming out like oatmeal. And I was just like,
oatmeal's super chunky though. I feel like it gets less chunky as you go.
Yeah, so
by the 9th nut, it should be like water, damn near.
Basically.
Sorry to everybody who's wishing we would talk about something else right now, but we got to get some of this shit out of the way.
Yeah, it took me like, I think I finally beat the addiction to porn. Man, I don't know. I want to say like the magic number 2018.
Really?
Yeah.
And so now there's nothing that could get you to the point of having to beat off?
Nah, maybe like, I'm trying to think if I could just think of something like maybe sleep. Like if I just really needed sleep and I just couldn't get there no other way. Yeah, but I would still be angry. I'd still throw my dick down after. So
yeah, going to sleep is like the best excuse to beat off. Like it's just,
that's what I used to do.
That's what I need, is to just clear my mind, tire myself out a little bit.
That's what I used to do. You know, you wake up, you got the cloth in your hand, you're like, oh shit. So yeah, so
I'll be scrolling Instagram and see a girl and be like, I'll take a mental note and be like, I'm not going to be okay in my brain until I jerk off looking at her on the internet.
Yeah. Oh, so you would do it without porn?
I'm like timetabling it like, I have to beat off to her OnlyFans or her Pornhub search results or whatever at some point. Like I just got to get it out of my system.
Yeah. I got to the point where I could only get off to myself. So I would make sure I recorded the creamy bag shots.
Really?
To watch for later when I was on that type of timing. So I would just watch myself fuck a chick. And yeah, that's what I liked.
Does it feel kind of gay to watch another dude fuck a chick, or?
I mean, in a category, it could seem sus. That's what kind of stopped me from fucking with porn, because I was like, damn, I'm like watching somebody else fuck, but I'm still looking at the dick fuck. So in a sense, like, damn, is that shit sus? So I stopped.
I've had people tell me that the thing that fucks you up about porn is you're getting off by watching 2 other people fuck. So therefore, inherently, once it's just you and a woman, your subconscious brain might not be able to get turned on, because, you know, this is kind of like you've trained yourself to get off on watching this woman get fucked as opposed to actually doing it, which I've never had that problem, but I could understand how that could potentially get to you.
Never had that problem. I mean, if a woman's got crazy top, then, I mean, you can get the full torpedo, but it's like sex without head, I'm only going to be at like 30%. So as long as you got good top, I mean, you can get the full 100%.
And you know how you said with like sex is all about basically like, what would you say, like pummeling your central nervous system?
Yeah, like as far as not fiending for it.
Right.
I feel like the average guy is gonna think about sex like tremendously unless they fuck a lot of chicks. Like, I think that's the power of a dude, is just not being controlled by pussy.
A woman will respect you once she can tell that you've been here before. Yeah. It's not that big a deal to you. You don't really care that much about fucking her. That gives you so much more leverage and power over the situation. Whereas I feel like I missed out on a lot of ass throughout my life because the woman could tell that I was down to fuck whoever and that I was thirsty as fuck.
Yeah, see, me, I got into a psychological thing where I like to frustrate a woman before we fuck. So me, I'll sit there and watch 3 Netflix movies with you and not make a move, to the point where chicks be like, wait, are we gonna fuck or what? So that's the way I like to do it. I don't know. I like the feeling of a chick wanting me. Like I'm not making a move.
That's why I could never get into the prostitute thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want you to begrudgingly fuck me because I gave you $100.
Yeah.
I want you to want to fuck me.
Exactly.
And that's why porn is almost kind of weird, because it's like, do they want to fuck me or not? I don't know. They're doing it.
It's a job.
I really have no idea.
Yeah, it's a job. It's basically, let's do this transaction. Like, I fuck you, you get paid, boom. But now that's how I like my chicks. I like aggressive women. I always have like aggressive chicks that throw me against the wall or just take my shit out. That's just, I don't know.
I saw this thing on Twitter the other day, and it said, women cannot stand the fact that that guys, when faced with these 2 options, would choose one over the other. And option one was like a career woman who has her doctorate and has written 5 books and is super accomplished in that regard, or a woman who takes care of the house and the kids and has food waiting when he gets home. And that really made me think, like, which one would I prefer? And would you really, like, how much would you really care about your woman's career if she was super successful like that? I mean, I guess it's good to respect her career and everything, but ultimately, if that's going to basically mean that she's farming out the parenting duties to a nanny most of the time, I mean.
I would say some of the most boring sex I ever had was with like a super successful woman.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I couldn't psychologically get past the fact that she made more money than me. But then on top of that, it just seemed like she was so business orientated that she just couldn't do shit. She didn't know how to give head. She didn't know what positions. I'm like, bend over. She's like, well, how? Like this? She just wasn't there. But if I fucked like a chick at Target or Walmart, it's probably just going to be some fire. Like, she's going to have crazy top, different type of positions.
The 22nd girl that I fucked, which I remember just because I remember it was like on my 22nd birthday, and I am out of 22, so this all really kind of stood out to me in my brain at the time. Like, whoa, this is crazy. This girl worked at Staples, which I didn't know until the next morning when I saw her getting out of bed and putting on her Staples uniform shirt, which at the time really kind of turned me off. When I think about it now, it sounds kind of hot.
Yeah.
Like, damn, you got a normal job? That's great. I'll never meet a girl that works at Staples these days, but yeah, she was a demon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like she's working at Staples. She got nothing else to live for.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. A woman like that's super powerful, they feel like they won't have to prove that much.
Yeah.
Like they feel like they don't have to suck your dick as good, or you just lay me down missionary, like no back shots.
But when I talk to these porn girls and stuff, a lot of times they've got the dominatrix stories about how these dudes who are super high-powered, famous CEO makes millions of dollars a year, and they just want to get tied up and get their nuts stomped on.
Oh, man.
And I don't get it. Like, I don't think no matter how, if I became a billionaire, I don't think that would appeal to me.
Nah, I wouldn't fuck with that. I'm not into the whole dominatrix shit, a chick pulling my hair, or beating the fuck out of me, like... Nah, I've had some crazy chicks try to bite me. I'm like, I gotta grab their fucking hair and pull them off.
I've had some girls try to grab my hair that almost got their asses beat. Like, I was really about to start swinging. Like, I grabbed them by the wrist. Don't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I got fake hair. How dare you try to pull this shit out?
Yeah, I don't like cuts and scratches.
Ugh.
And don't dig your nails on my back, please.
Right.
Like, it's not necessary.
Or the worst is when you're like choking them and like being cute with it, and they start trying to do it to you. It's like, what the fuck? You're like, get out of here.
Yeah, that's not gonna resonate with me.
You like girls
choked.
licking your nipples?
I mean...
That's one thing I can't really get into.
I don't
either.
like it, but I mean, if she wants to do it, I'll let her.
Yeah, what am I, a mom? Like,
Exactly.
I'm not trying to feed you, lady.
It's not something I feel. It's just more so like, if she wants to let her,
Right.
Have you ever like faked head before?
Faked head?
Yeah, like you act like it was the best head you ever had, but it was trash.
See, this is what I was going to say before, is that having done porn, I don't know if I could just be a regular single guy, because I feel like then once I discover what the head is like, I feel like my brain is all fucked up now, where I think that this crazy ass Adriana Chechik head is normal.
Yeah.
And I know it's not. I remember being in the streets and getting terrible fucking blowjobs for all those years.
Yeah.
I did not discover almost any throat goats at the local bars in Long Beach as a youngin'.
Got to get lucky, bro. That's what it is. You got to get lucky. I don't know. I feel like the average woman can't suck dick.
Yeah.
Honestly, just from my experience.
It's genetic. It's like the way that the average guy couldn't become a fucking world-class bodybuilder.
That's true.
It's just not, it's a genetic thing.
Yeah, exactly. Either she knows how to do it or not. I'd say maybe, shit, in my life, maybe I probably had maybe like 3 to 4 chicks that just gave like the blackout shit. Where you just,
Yeah.
but outside of that, nah, it's not a normal thing.
Yeah. And even in the porn world, there's some pretty bad top out there too.
It is?
Yeah.
Damn, I thought everybody, from what it looks like on camera, everybody basically is an experienced superhero when it comes to...
Sometimes it looks good on camera, but then in reality, it's teethier than it looks.
Yeah, if it's teethier, it fucks up.
Yeah.
Also.
Talk to me about Brolylegs.
Who put you up to that?
I know this was many years ago. No, because that's a weird thing about you, and we can talk about that too, is that there's all these documentaries about you.
Yeah.
And it's like I watched one, and then I went to watch another one, and it was like exactly the same. And I'm like, holy fuck, like these have like a lot of views and they're exactly the same. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I call them speculation stints. But the whole Brolylegs shit happened. It was basically through Street Fighter. So me always would think of the most wild shit to say about somebody. So it's strategic. So I was playing on Twitch, man, this is like 2015, 14. I'm playing the game, right? He comes on my stream trolling. I'm like, all right, whatever. He beats me. He goes on Twitter like, yo, Lotigat, I could teach you, I could coach you how to play Street Fighter. So I just dig into my nostalgia bag. I'm like, you know what? And I look at him and I just dig into my nostalgia bag and I say, you know what? Krang. And I just went on Twitter and I was like, called him Krang from Ninja Turtles. And I just
the brain.
It's like, yeah, it's like
a brain in a like bubble.
Yeah. So man, Twitter went crazy over that. And then to this day I still hear about it, you know, obviously. But yeah, to this day I still hear about it.
See, my thing is like, because I recently got in a little beef with a Chicago drill rapper, and he like dissed me. But this is a dude who like got shot in the head and like shows signs of it. So I immediately went to that. It's like, you know, which I understand, you know, it's kind of a low blow or whatever. But it's like, I just feel like if somebody has like something clearly wrong with them physically, people then are not able to perceive the fact that you dissing them is not any different than them dissing you. And like, yeah, granted, if you were to just go from nothing to dissing Krang or whatever, like that would be offensive. But if there was a reason for you to be attacking back, you got to work with what you got. And a lot of times a disability is what you got.
That's true. Everything's rebuttal. Like anything you see me say on the internet is rebuttal. Like I literally am responding. Somebody's just not in my chat. You know what? I'm going to fuck your mom. I'm going to do this, do that, do that. Like, nah, everything's been rebuttal. Like any clip you see is the clip and the context is somebody in my chat saying something and I just say some shit back. Yeah. So if I do it now, it's more so just for entertainment. Like people say shit in my chat 24/7, but I just don't really respond like that anymore. I like just for wow factor and nostalgia, I'll just pick something out and say something. That's basically it. But everything, I used to respond to every fucking thing. That's where the clips came from. Yeah, I respond to everything.
Right, because the more popular you get, the more impossible it is to actually have those reactions to.
Yeah, man. You can't defeat the internet. That's one thing I had to learn. You can't defeat the internet.
Right.
Yeah, once you're there, that's basically it. It's a sealed deal.
Right. What it's kind of like a big conversation in the culture these days, but have you ran into problems with people being offended by your statements and opinions on trans people?
I mean, it got me banned like in 2020, March 2020.
On YouTube or?
Nah, just like from the community, like with the gaming company Capcom.
Oh, really?
Like, so yeah, I'm like banned from Evo, which is like a big gaming shit at the end of the year.
And what did you say that got them to react this way? I didn't know Capcom would be on that.
Yeah, so it went viral because so the person was trolling me in Street Fighter or whatever, and you know I was still on my hothead shit, and I basically told them to basically they didn't go through the full surgery. You're not a real trans. Snip your shit, morph it, and shove it in your shit, turn it into actual pussy basically. And that shit, it went viral for the wrong reasons, and I got banned from like anything that you can compete fighting game wise. I got banned for that.
Right.
Yeah. So, years later, I'm like, yo, it's 3 years. Am I still banned? Like, I got fans that want to see me. Like, I don't care about gaming, but I would like to pull up just for fans. But I mean, I would say I didn't get flack as bad as I thought I was because I already knew people who were trans. So they knew me already, and they knew I was just like fucking around through some Street Fighter shit, but I just was off the hinges. They were like, I've interacted with him. I've like talked to him at an event. Like, I'm trans. Like, he's never shown those type of signs. So
to me, that opinion that you expressed there is kind of like a sort of nuanced one that doesn't really seem that offensive. It's like, trans people, from having my conversations with them, I realized that like they very much judge other trans people based on how well they pass and how sincere their effort to appear like the other gender. It's not that out of the ordinary. I don't feel like it would be impossible to hear a trans person having that statement and saying, get your fucking dick chopped off if you're really about that life.
I mean, if you're trans, you could say that, but if you're not, like if I'm some random black guy just yelling, it's gonna be looked at it all type of ways. But I mean, I even have trans fans. They're like, oh yeah, I'm a big fan, blah, blah, blah. So it never really stuck. Like I was never really labeled like transphobic because people knew I wasn't transphobic. They just basically seen one little thing.
Did Capcom relent and let you back in?
Nah, not yet. I tried to get unbanned. I was like DMing hella people because I was trying to go to Evo last year just for fun. And shit, it looks like I'm still banned.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't know. I'll try again next year and we'll see what happens.
Do you think the fighting game community actually is woke, or is this like a company with power over the community basically trying to enforce an ideological thing on these unwilling participants?
I mean, it's more of a code of conduct thing for them and an alienation issue. Like in the fighting game community, there's a lot of people who resonate with, different labels. What do you call them? I don't know. They, she.
Pronouns.
Yeah,
and whatnot,
pronouns,
yeah.
yeah. So there's a lot of people that resonate with different things.
I guess I could see that because people who choose to sort of like submerge themselves in this fantasy world and play this game and stay in their room all the time quite often might be the kind of people who have a hard time fitting in the real world. Is that would that make sense?
That makes sense, yeah. Like a lot of people basically don't go outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that just watch people stream. Like, I only watch people stream for homework. So if I'm watching like Akademiks I only watch knowledgeable shit now, but I'll tap into Kai and, just to see what he's up to. Like I do homework, like I study the game, which is why I guess while I'm able to flourish a little bit, while like there's so many bigger people in the game these days, I'm like, damn, you guys are still fucking with me like damn near 10 years later. Like, what am I doing? They're like, man, you're just true to yourself.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about becoming successful for making content is that it becomes very, very difficult for you to like really have that much time to consume other people's content, and your style of consuming it becomes different, where it's like, I could never imagine watching an entire Akademiks 4-hour fucking stream. I only am able to engage with the clips because it's just like, I'm usually busy all fucking day. And I would like to be like more of a normal content consumer, but instead I like kind of have to be like real careful about what I'm willing to spend an hour listening to because of the fact that my time is, in any given week, if I'm doing 4 or 5 interviews, that's at least a couple of hours per interview that I need to spend getting ready for that interview. So I'm not able to just be somebody who listens to 4 fucking Joe Budden podcasts a week.
Yeah. The only person's stream I could say I watch straight through is like an act stream. Because it's more so like, it's not just me watching somebody stream, I'm like learning shit too.
Right.
Learning different trades of the game as far as like the whole media aspect. So to me, if it's knowledgeable, I'll listen to it in the background. I'll be at the gym, like, oh, let me put on Akademiks stream so I just do it like a knowledgeable thing. I'm getting ready, I pop it on. But as far as like me just like sitting there, I don't have the time.
Me watching Axe content, honestly, and I hate to give him this much credit, but it feels like work in a way, because when I watch him and see his level of like preparedness when it comes to talking about different topics, like I'm often wowed by how much knowledge he has about the most mundane fucking topics. I've just watched him talk about Blueface and Krishan Rock maybe a month ago, and I was just like, wowed by like, I cannot believe how much fucking knowledge and analysis he has for this. Whereas for me, it's like, I'm kind of a passive consumer of that shit where I'll watch the viral clips and stuff, but I haven't watched every episode of the Zeus show. And it's like, I don't really have like a fully thought out thought process about exactly like what each of their motivations is and stuff like that. And it's like, I do kind of view him as somebody who's completely submerged in the culture, that I feel like I'm a little different in the sense that I'm watching shit about politics and I'm watching shit about video games and streamers, and like I'm a little bit more like well-rounded in terms of what I pay attention to, but he's like mega hip-hop focused, so his viewpoint on any given topic is like razor sharp.
That's why I'm watching it. I'm like, man, I put on Akademiks. That's homework for me, because the same shit that's going on Akademiks stream, when I go live, they're asking me about it.
Right.
Like, yo, did you hear about this? Like most of my stream now is media based. Like the whole 5 hours, or I might spend like 5 hours going over media, depending on what's popping for the day. And the rest, I could just fuck around and go over random topics. But yeah, so to me, if I watch a streamer, it's homework. Like I need to be in the know of what's going on. That's what anything though. Like if you're a basketball player and all you got is hook shots and you don't know step backs and things like that. You don't know the new trades of the game. How do you stay sharp? So.
How did you end up on that stream with Jidion a few months back, and how did you feel about the way that it went?
You talking about, was I wearing like a blue Nike shirt or something like that?
I think he was wearing a suit. That's the primary thing I remember.
Man, Jidion hit me up a long time ago, but the way we got connected is...
You were talking about Kai.
Yeah, I had said something like, this was like last summer, I said something like, I think I said something where I said Kai wasn't marketable at that particular time because he said like nigga too much or something. But me, I'm a business major, like I have a business degree. So I'm watching Kai be like a super marketable person. But I'm thinking like, damn, he could be this much bigger if he like marketed his shit different. Even though I wasn't on his level or I'm not on his level at all, I would watch his content and be like, man, like he has the capability of doing this and that if he just didn't do this and that. So they took it the wrong way. I guess Jidion was reacting to it on his stream. So he calls up Kai, and then, you know, shit transitions different, and it's going here, it's going there.
They took it as being more hate than you meant it.
Yeah. But it definitely wasn't hate. It was more so like me watching him be like this big dude, this big streamer. And I'm just like, damn, like if he just like was doing this, he could be on some Kevin Hart shit. So that's basically what it was. That's how I got connected with Jidion. So that stream, I think that's what I was talking about, right? On that particular stream?
Yeah.
No, this was after I knew Jidion already. Yeah, and we had that conversation, but I think he was like trying to troll me for his audience, but I know Jidion's a troll, so.
That's what all the Twitch streamers do when they get somebody on Discord or whatever. I noticed that this is a very common thing, and I see Neon and Adin Ross and shit do it, where it's kind of like, a lot of times I'll be interviewing somebody and it won't really be like explosive or all that entertaining, but it will be like a 2-hour good conversation.
Yeah.
But like the Twitch streamer mentality is like, no, provoke them, make the shit as out of pocket as possible, get the viral moment, make this shit as ridiculously as humanly possible. And that's how you get great content, which sometimes you need to like go out of your way to make it like that. But a lot of times it's like, even if it's a person that I totally fundamentally disagree with, I have a hard time having anything other than just like a civil, normal conversation, you know?
You know, I think with that, like, just remembering it, I think he was like trying to bait me. But the thing is, like, it would have had to been something that resonated for me to even like give him what he wanted. So, I mean, you can't tilt me. Like, you can't sell me a car. Like, if I want the car, I'm gonna go buy it. If I want a house, I'm gonna go buy it. You can't say, oh, well, pick this house that's $200,000 instead of this $700,000. So, like, when we did the stream, I was just like, oh yeah, he's trying to bait me. But I'm just not in that type of mood. Like, it's got to be natural. I can't just bust out. I could have faked it if that's what he wanted, but yeah, that's what it was. I think he was just on some baiting shit, basically.
Yeah. You got to give it to him because he has a knack for it. I mean, he's a prankster by definition. So why would that shit not kind of translate into how he does his thing on, you know, a Discord call with somebody as well?
I think he's doing like Jesus stuff right now.
Is he seriously?
Yeah.
That's something I can't
I checked
behind.
out. I didn't know if it was real, but I think it's real. I think he's doing like, you know, the stuff with God and preaching at, you know, at churches and doing sermons and stuff.
I mean, I feel like for a lot of creators, it's just at a certain point, there's like, you know, what's bigger than God?
Yeah.
Like Andrew Tate, it seemed like he did it all, and then he was like, fuck it, I'm Muslim.
Yeah. I mean, some people beat the game, I would like to say. Some people beat the game, and they're like, oh, fuck it, I got to do something next. Like,
Right.
what do you do when you, like, conquered everything?
And when you seem like a representative of something bigger than any of us can really wrap our head around, it's kind of easy for people to like maybe forgive you for your sins or to look at you as somebody who's just, you know, deserving of more accommodation as a result. And like I've seen, you know, tons of people going to bat for Andrew Tate that I would have never expected. And it's like, it's the Muslim thing. It's just like, as much as it seems kind of insincere to just randomly decide that you're Muslim this late in your life, right after you become rich and successful, it's like, to a lot of people, that is just so fucking captivating. And I look at it and I'm like, I couldn't do that. Like everybody's heard me talk about the fact that I don't believe in God, and that just kind of puts me in a box of like not being deserving of any sympathy when you don't have any like supernatural beliefs.
Yeah. So when you say like, so my thing with atheists is like, I'm more of a science kind of guy. I grew up in like a Christian church, so I realized it was like, I would say it was more of a business base. I peeped it when I was like 7 years old. I'm like, damn, why are we putting stuff in the collection plate, so on and so forth. But as like somebody who says they're atheist, so like where do you think you came from? Like what made you?
I really haven't thought about it that much. I just don't feel like, I mean, I've read a bit about like, you know, the Big Bang Theory and like what the root of humanity might be and stuff, but I wouldn't say I'm like that curious about it. I just think that all of the proposed narratives in terms of religions as ways of explaining like how we came to be are just blatantly absurd. But that doesn't necessarily like cause me to go in the direction of figuring out like what is the meaning of life. And like, you know, it's to me, it's like, it seems kind of obvious that there isn't a lot of meaning, that this is all sort of temporary and we're just having experiences. And even the most meaningful experience that I could have, like having a kid and stuff, it's like, it's so blatantly obvious to me at all times that like, this is temporary. Like, you know, like I'm only going to be alive for another like 30, 35, 40 years probably. Yeah. And, you know, the most passionate experiences you can have are still fleeting. So, you know, I try to just kind of focus on living a good life while I'm here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like if you don't believe in the whole Jesus thing, I feel like science is the best way to go. You know, like us talking to science, you blinking to science, you looking out of your eyes. It's like, I guess, a mirror reflection, like the way your eyeballs work. All this shit is science. So that's, to me, when people ask me like, yo, do you believe in a higher power? I say, yeah, like a scientist. I feel like there was like a dope engineer that said, fuck it, I'm gonna put the moon here, the earth here, and then just create fucking drones of people and just have them like on an ant farm.
Well, ever since I heard the simulation theory shit a few years back or whatever, it's kind of hard for me to get my head past that.
Yeah, same shit.
Like,
when I heard that,
yeah,
I'm like, damn, I am in simulation. Like, we can't get off this motherfucker.
Right.
Like, this is it. Like, the only way you could really break simulation, kind of, to me, is with revenue. Because you could kind of like not do the same shit. Like, there's this YouTube series, I forgot what it's called, but this guy animates and he says the life of a 9-to-5er. And he'll make the video as stressful as possible. Like, get up, hit your alarm, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know how
well, but that to me is the most painful thing that I could imagine, is just having to live a life where every single day I just get up and do shit that I don't want to do to just get by. Like, that really pains me to even imagine. I just like actually don't know if I would be able to make my body do that, because I hated working through high school and shit. I hated it so much that the only thing that I could do, and I say all this realizing that most people have to have jobs, and I'm not trying to encourage them to go fucking piss off and do stuff that's irresponsible, but every single minute of my life that I spent working, I spent thinking about how the fuck am I gonna figure out how to do something that I don't hate for the rest of my life, because this is not gonna work for me.
That was me. I had like this little series on YouTube called The Critical Times. Back when I used to like work at fucking Goodwill. So I'm like sitting there documenting, like talk about how I want to make it out of simulation. And it's just crazy like how I just kept going. And I mean, you're basically a professional slave when you work at Goodwill. So I think if you work there, it's like modern day slavery.
Right.
Yeah, so to do that and like be here is like kind of crazy when you think about the journey. It's nuts. I was just in my car some years ago complaining, drinking 1 million fucking Red Bulls a day. Yeah.
I remember thinking about wanting to be interviewed for a long time before, and this is like, you know, pre-internet where like everybody has been interviewed now, it feels like, but like it's kind of weird to me that it ended up with me just interviewing people, because that was something that I always was thinking about when I'd be reading magazine interviews and stuff throughout my childhood, is like, how do I get to the point where somebody will give me a forum like this where I could just actually talk about myself for a few pages or whatever length of time.
I mean, when I first found out about you, it was you were doing like some fucking, you were like in the UK and some hoods in the UK.
With or which one did we do?
It's like
in the
you were
UK?
like in some fucking like project. I don't know if it was in
or was
the
it
UK.
Australia?
Yeah, it was
with the
some
Kid
shit.
Leroy. Was it that one?
I don't know, but you were like in some, it was like some big ass gray buildings. It was so many fucking years ago.
Really?
Yeah, I think you might have been bald back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so were you really interviewing people back then, or you just kind of like went places and just talked to people?
No, yeah, I've been doing this since like 2015, but definitely always kind of did a good amount of, you know, vlog type stuff and everything like that too.
Yeah, that's when I tapped in, when you were like more like vlog based and like less interviewing thing. It was more so you just went around and you would talk to people.
I remember I went to Long Beach, which is like, you know, a 40-minute drive from here, and did a vlog in basically the neighborhood where I lived when I lived in Long Beach, in hanging out with this dude, Stupid Young, this Asian Crip rapper, and that got like 10 million views. And when I look back at that, I'm like, why didn't you keep doing those? Like, why did you just get 10 million views in like 2 weeks off of that video, and then you just didn't keep doing it? I'm like, and then I see all these other people like going crazy viral, just doing videos, going to people's neighborhoods and stuff, and I'm like, you really should have jumped on that opportunity more.
I mean, you could always go back. Now it'll just hit even more.
But now it's a little bit more played out.
Yeah. I mean, you mean saturated too? Would you say it's oversaturated?
Yeah, it's just like so many people doing it that I feel like it's not as enticing to people.
Shit, I'll watch them.
Yeah.
I'll pull them up and we'll watch hood vlogs. Like, to me, it's interesting just to see what people are saying.
Okay, there's been that whole conversation taking place with H3H3 and XQC and shit like that about the reaction streamers and about if it's ethical to basically post up on stream reacting to shit for, you know, an entire day in the case of a lot of these streamers and stuff. How do you feel about that? And do you ever have any kind of qualms in your head where you're like, fuck, maybe this is a little too low effort right here?
I mean, nah, because that's what my audience expects from me now. So I'll look up and I'm streaming for 5 to 6 hours. And they're like, keep going. We got more topics for you. We got more reactions. Like, that's the new wave. The new wave now is like just chatting and IRL. I feel like IRL is a fad in a sense, but just chatting is like, I mean, if you watch big streamers, like you watch Kai or any of these guys, they're more so like just chatting, and I might tap into a game, or I might sit here and fuck around for 5, 6 hours, 7 hours, just chatting, reacting to videos and looking at shit. I feel like that's just what it is. Like, believe it or not, people are entertained by you reacting to shit. Yeah, that's what I think the wave is. Like, what are we supposed to do?
But do you ever feel like, you know, if you have 10,000 people watching, or especially I feel like people get kind of offended by it when there's like a VOD of, you know, some documentary that somebody put their fucking life's work into, and then XQC re-uploads a 2-hour video of him reacting to it and he's barely talking the whole time. That just rubs people the wrong way.
So you're talking about basically making it into YouTube content?
Yeah, or even just doing it, because it's like, even if you're doing it on stream and you got like tens of thousands of people watching you, I mean, like, is that 10,000 people who would have watched that piece of content? I mean, realistically, no, because they probably wouldn't even know about it. Yeah. But it also sometimes doesn't really sit right with people.
I mean, I feel like that's just what it is. Like, to me, that's always been the internet. The reaction thing started, I want to say, with like music reactions, honestly. Like, at first, you would only see people react to music. Now you're seeing people react to media. What's viral this, what's viral that, media, hip-hop media, regular media, what happened here, what happened there. So, like, if I had to just get on stream and fucking play a fighting game every time I went live, I probably wouldn't want to go live.
Right.
Like, the whole point is being able to freestyle your shit with some sort of structure. Like, some nights I'll write down everything I'm gonna go over, and then I'll freestyle the rest of my stream. And then some nights I just freestyle the whole shit. So yeah, just chatting and looking at other people's content. I mean, we're plugging you. That's how you found out about me, right? Everybody was just uploading my shit, reacting to my shit, looking at it.
Right.
That's the name of the game.
But even like, I watched H3H3 and Hassan argue about Israel and Palestine. And they both cried, which was kind of mind-blowing to me. But I watched that, and then afterwards I saw Destiny uploaded a full reaction to it, and I was just like, oh, like, I could have watched that shit and got his perspective on it too. As a big Destiny fan, I would have probably really enjoyed and would have, you know, saved a lot of time, because it's not like I can watch that video and consolidate it just down to the stuff that Destiny said. Yeah. It's like I would have to rewatch the entire thing, which I definitely do not have enough time to do. So it can be kind of weird as a consumer to have to make those decisions. Like, I don't think I ever need to watch a Fresh and Fit episode. I'll only watch somebody reacting to it.
Yeah, that's
no
the
offense,
thing.
guys.
It's a shortcut. So it's like you could watch that original shit and you could scan through it, or you could watch my juicy shit where I'm going over the particular topic that went viral, or I'm going over Hassan and H3H3 cry, and I'm gonna react to them crying. I'm still pushing out Hassan. I'm still pushing out H3. So I'm still plugging you. I don't think it's a big issue. Like, there's probably gonna be a million people to take this and clip it and do whatever, but now they know about no jumper. Yeah, now they know about no jumper. So I mean, it goes into playing on the internet, and you get to take a shortcut. As human beings, we like shortcuts, right?
It's just crazy living in the clip age because it used to be that like if I did an interview and there was a viral clip on Twitter or Instagram or whatever, that the interview would then always go viral along with that.
Yeah.
And now that is not really the case, where a lot of times there'll be a TikTok or a Twitter post or whatever, and then there's almost no noticeable boost to the YouTube video because everybody who's watching that clip is just trying to shit on it or laugh at it or look at it, you know, in an objective way, not the kind of content, like they're not watching it because they want to like sincerely engage with it. And even like Vlad, I seen him have that where he had this girl, Gloria Valdez or whatever, doing interviews for him, and she interviewed fucking Cisco or some shit, and it went super viral.
You talking about like
Cisco? Yes, Thongs on Cisco. And like it went super viral. It made it to TMZ and stuff like that. But then I'm watching Vlad say, yes, it made it to TMZ. It did not cause the video itself to get that many more views, which is like kind of crazy when it feels like there's no noticeable connection there.
Yeah, I mean, it has happened to me. Like, you know, I'll put up some shit, somebody will steal it, triumph the views. I'm just like, damn, how come I couldn't get that fucking million?
Right.
But then I just took it on the chin and was like, damn, I guess it's just how it works. It's not always going to resonate to your personal views. So people are just going to take what they want and just basically clip it and stamp it. Same shit I do. Like when I do reels, I'll take whatever the fuck I want and I'll just talk about that shit particularly. And I might bash a particular part of the video or not really bash, but go over it. And there's a whole fucking different part of the video. So, I mean, that's just, our attention spans are short these days.
Right.
Like, if I see a song that's 3 minutes, now I'm like, damn, why the fuck is this shit 3 minutes? But if I was like 15, I'm like, damn, I'm hoping this song is 4 minutes. So I think it's an attention span thing too, which is why you watch Destiny shit over Hassan and H3H3s.
Right.
Yeah.
Why watch people I disagree with when I could watch somebody I agree with review some people I disagree with, so I can automatically be informed of the counterpoints to the things that they might say that I might find questionable. It's kind of weird. But yeah, like, I don't know, like even with the Adin Ross thing, like I'm watching like they're streaming a house with all these different freaky fucking people hanging out. And then meanwhile, you have Adin Ross reacting to it in real time. Like that's how much more appealing to people the reaction genre is than just watching something on its own. Like the idea of reacting to something is that captivating to people that it feels like, you know, that's just the way to go.
Depending on who's doing it. Like if I was like a complete nobody, just a normal guy, and I just turned on my shit and was like, you know what, I'm gonna react to something. Nobody gives a fuck. But I think it's an opinion-based thing. Like if I seen Destiny, you know, going over something, I'm gonna click over it over just like some random Flojo going over something.
Right.
I'm gonna click the Destiny video.
Do you remember Brother Nature?
No.
He was like a Twitter star and shit, and he was always with Mad Animals, just like a young, sort of light-skinned dude, and he would always have all these different animals around him and shit like that, right?
He's viral now, right? Like he has a bunch of tattoos and.
I don't think he's that viral these days, but
that's a different guy.
Okay, but so this dude was like huge for a while, and we all knew him from like being around LA and shit like that. And then at one point, he kind of like loses the love from his audience because he got in this crazy dramatic fight in Miami where he was basically like starting a fight with somebody, and he ended up looking like a huge asshole. His whole audience kind of turned on him, and so he didn't do any interviews for a couple of years, and then I did an interview with him, and I think it got like 30,000 views.
Yeah.
But then this YouTuber made a video about this dude and basically like used my video for like a large percentage of the video to basically tell the story of this guy, and he got like 500,000 views or 1 million views. And it's like, it kind of occurred to me in my head, like, well, nobody gave a fuck about watching the actual conversation I had. Maybe I should have somebody on my team who's making like synopsis reaction type videos or like, you know, little mini documentaries using my content. And then that will just basically act as like a promotional tool for the full length content. Like maybe the desire to have like reaction style content is that strong that as a company that makes like mostly original content like that, we should have like in-house reactors or YouTube video essay creators, which is the other like crazy genre that has really emerged on YouTube the past few years.
I mean, so with your news, right? Isn't that what they do? They just basically, I mean, news to me is reacting. Like
our news channel is mostly just them kind of reacting in real time to the news. Yeah.
So then you turn it into clips.
Yeah.
So you're talking about like just somebody named Bubblegum just making a documentary about the shit, but it's your shit, but it's in-house. You're trying to figure out how to defeat the game.
Maybe he even seems like he's not an employee here. It's just like a separate channel, and then he's just reacting to shit, and we just hire somebody to just like make these videos. And maybe we hire a couple different ones. Maybe we hire somebody who's really negative and somebody who's like really funny and kind of positive or some shit. Get a whole little cottage industry of all these different reaction channels, but they're all people who are just working in the office. It's kind of brilliant. I don't know if I could actually pull it off, but
it's like me owning what's the store? It's like a Mexican grocery store, Hispanic grocery store, Vallarta, right? I think that's how you say it. It's Vallarta. I think that's what it's called.
Okay.
But I'm the black guy behind the situation, but I have everybody in the front. Like it looks like it's a Spanish-ran establishment, but I'm the black guy. So you mean like people don't know they work for no jumper? That'd be the way to do it.
Maybe.
Yeah. Got to trick the game. Some people might not click because it's me, or some people might not click because it's Adin or no jumper.
Right.
That's just the way it goes. They saw fucking, I'll watch this troll video over watching you. That's what people do with me. They'll go click on the bullshit because they don't want to support me, but still watch me at the same time.
Right.
But ironically, you're still watching me.
What do you think of Destiny as a content creator? Are you a fan?
Yeah, I mean, Destiny is the person that had the biggest balls to like pull me from like doing my normal shit and like, all right, yo, hop on my shit. So, yeah, I feel like he's really smart about everything he talks about. I don't really think he said anything I didn't disagree with.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. That's weird that you say that because that's kind of the weird thing about me with Destiny is like when I first found him, I was like within a couple hours of watching his shit, I was like, I relate to how this guy thinks about shit so much, and I also will totally give it to him that he's smarter than me.
Yeah,
that it's like. When I click on his shit and I hear his opinions about stuff, it almost always aligns with what I was already kind of thinking about that. Or like, I feel like I can mostly trust his opinion to be the opinion that I'm going to kind of go towards.
Exactly.
With the caveat of him clearly like understanding it better than me because he's just a total fucking, he's a Krang, the Ninja Turtle. He's like a big
whiz.
Bubble inside, a big brain inside a bubble.
Yeah. He's a whiz at what he does.
And when you're around him and he's like a little awkward and like kind of just standing there and he's like this little dude and stuff, you're like, that is how it feels. It's like I've consumed so much of your thoughts that it's weird to see your physical body just standing in front of me.
Because he's got such a big brain. You see him in person, like, oh shit, this is Destiny.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think he's a brilliant dude. And it takes a lot of balls to go against the grain. I feel like he goes against the grain for certain things, but it works for him. Like he didn't have to have me on any of his pods or anything like that, but he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna take a chance, see what happens, and I'm gonna ask him a couple of questions about this, about that. And I mean, I'm pretty sure I gave him the answers he was looking for. I feel like I don't see Destiny laugh at shit, but when he's looking at my clips, I feel like I'm one of the only people that can make him laugh.
When you're talking to Destiny and he'll say, and if he says like, oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
oh,
it hits
shit.
a little different because it's like, I know your standard for saying that somebody just made a good point is a lot higher than most people's.
Yeah, because if you have a bad point, he'll just chew your shit up.
And it's so weird how so much of the internet just sort of obsesses over the fact that he's in an open relationship. It doesn't seem like the most interesting part of him to me.
Nah, I mean, if anything, I think it adds to his character. Like, if we didn't know Destiny was in an open relationship, like, he'd still be smart as fuck, right? Great at what he does, but that extra pizzazz, it wouldn't be there. It's just more so like, damn, so I'm this smart, but I'm also like, we're in an open relationship. I'm fucking other chicks. She's fucking other guys.
And she's dumb hot.
Yeah, exactly.
Dumb hot.
And the fact that Destiny has a hot wife, it's just like everything aligns perfectly.
Yeah.
Smart as fuck, open relationship, hot wife.
It's just a little too fascinating for normal people to just be like, oh, okay, yeah, this fucking guy who sits on his computer playing these weird games all day has just got this smoking hot wife. It's just like, that's too much. People need a little bit more explanation, right?
I think she's foreign, too. She's not just a normal. She's
Switzerland
Swedish
or Sweden or some shit, yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, that's what makes them unique. Sometimes it's just certain little things and key points that make somebody unique. You can't just be one. You got to be multiple entities.
Right.
Yep.
Do you feel responsible for sending Dream back into hiding with his face and whatnot?
Oh, with the reaction thing?
Yeah.
Nah. That was like, I didn't even think Dream was ugly. I was just like, just laughing at the fact that he probably thought he wasn't attractive to, the norm. But now you see him at concerts and shit. You see him, he has concerts, he's on stage. I'm like, that shit takes balls. Like, if I had to get on stage and like dance around and shit, my heart would be busting through my chest.
But he's like such a meme to people. Like I seen the clip of him sort of like crying on stage and stuff, and it's like super viral.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, like that's crazy that this dude who we didn't even know what he looked like for so long is now going viral for. I mean, he did look goofy as fuck. I don't mean to just roast everybody who cries, but I don't know. There's something like when I see people crying on stage while singing, or even the Hassan and H3 thing, I'm just like, oh wow, like a lot of people are a lot more sensitive than me.
Yeah, I can't cry for shit. Like,
yeah, it's really hard for me to get crying.
Yeah, my tears are gone. Like,
and I don't like, if something's gonna make you cry, 1,000 people getting killed in this country that you apparently like lived in and shit. Yeah, for sure that'll do it. But it's hard for me to get to the point of crying.
Yeah, I think the last time I just uncontrollably cried was like Passion of the Christ.
Really?
Yeah,
I actually never seen that. I've always wanted to.
Yeah, I didn't even want to cry, but it was like me, my mom, and my sister were watching it, and just the whole movie theater is just weeping in tears. I'm like, damn. So I feel like God is real, but just not in the form that we think. I just feel like as an engineer, great scientist. Yeah.
But the movie was still moving for you?
Yeah, uncontrollably. Like, you watch it and you don't want to cry, but it's just some shit that just gets pulled out of you. Like, that just destroys you from the inside out. When you, like, see him get whooped, when you see Jesus get whooped and just destroyed, it's just like, yeah, it did something. I don't know how I would feel today, but, yeah, back then, I
remember seeing Brokeback Mountain back when it came out in the theater with my mom, and I remember getting a little teary-eyed at certain points during that, and, as being a young guy who's not gay, just being like, damn, like, I can't believe this gay shit get me crying like this.
Yeah. Did they, like, what happened?
I think it was actually that line where he says at the end, he says, like, I wish I could quit you.
Yeah.
Like, just two cowboy motherfuckers.
Like, you could stop fucking them?
Just fucking each other in the ass out in the woods. And, like, one of them, I forget the plot and shit, but, there's a lot of gay shame going on and everything like that. But I was just, like, really surprised how moved I found it as a young man.
Damn. I think that's the only movie I like, shed tears over. Yeah, I think that's it. I got close with I Am Legend when he, like, choked his dog out. Oh, really? Outside of that was it.
Really?
I was like, damn.
I remember Forrest Gump getting to me one time.
Yeah.
This retarded guy getting AIDS from this hippie bitch.
Damn. Wait, hold on. So he got AIDS from her in the movie?
Oh, actually, well, she got AIDS, but I'm not sure if he actually got it.
I don't think he did. He was he kind of just let her be.
Yeah.
I think she ended up dying. Yeah, he finally got the woman he wanted after she was used and abused and caught HIV.
Man, don't let Fresh and Fit get their hands on Forrest Gump, because that fits the fucking narrative perfectly. Yeah. Like, you are the 75 IQ motherfucking Tom Hanks, and this bitch is every woman who's trying to, like, be out here living her feminist dream.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Fresh and Fit goes, I think, like, a bunch of shit Myron says is, like, true, but every guy doesn't have access to it.
I'm supposed to interview Myron soon, and it occurs to me that I really need to read his book, Women Deserve Less.
Yeah, you probably should.
That's what his book is called. I can't wait to read this shit.
Yeah, it's super aggressive. Like, if anything, that would make me want to read this shit. Like, okay, let me read this shit. Like, did Future write it or did Myron write it? Yeah, but
it's intimidating to interview someone like that, because I know he's, like, so well rehearsed in his talking points, because he's been doing this on camera for, like, many, many years of defending kind of like the same exact platform. So it's, like, got to be pretty bulletproof at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a master at his craft, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to read that book.
Women Deserve
Women
Less.
Deserve
What
Less.
an amazing title.
Yeah, now I want to fucking read it, because I never knew that's what the fuck it was called.
Right.
Women Deserve Less.
And I already know that he's going to have an explanation of why women deserve less that will actually be, like, hard for me to argue with, because when you think about it, it's like, I mean, guys will do literally anything to get laid. So I guess it probably does make sense that women deserve less than what they get on average in relationships and stuff, because guys are so unbelievably thirsty. I just don't relate to this current world that we live in, where it's totally normalized to, like, oh, you like a girl, so you have to like buy her an expensive handbag, or you have to like fly her first class to go on some fancy vacation. Never did I ever live in that fucking universe, like before or currently. You know, I'm still married, so it's like we go on vacations and shit like that. But you know, that just, when I see people I know who are like trying to like keep up with this cool Miami fucking lifestyle of taking girls out on boats and shit, I'm like, no.
Every single time, me personally, every single time I try to leave with my wallet, it blows up in my face. I do dates, it blows up in my face. So my thing is, let me try to see what we can do first, and then you graduate. Like, you got to unlock the DLC is what I like to call it. Like, this is downloadable content. Like, what's going to happen before we get to that level? Because any single time that I've, like, bought a chick something or taken her out on dates, that shit blew up in my face, and most likely we didn't end up fucking.
Right.
But
you're giving up all your power. If you spending hella money on a girl right away is the same as that girl fucking you right away.
That's true.
Where she gives up her power over you as soon as she gives you the pussy. And if you spend a bunch of money on her right away, it's like, well, what more could she possibly want from you besides more money?
Facts. That's facts. That's funny you say that. But yeah, that's true. Because if I hit and it's mid, now I don't got to talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
So if you get gifts out of me, I'm giving you everything. Now the high is gone. It's called burning out your resources early.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, like, dinner was always kind of like the default in terms of dates. Is like, if I meet a girl and I'm interested in pursuing her at all, we'll go to dinner. Because dinner is like
too much, man.
What, it's like $100. Maybe you get like a nicer dinner. You spend like $200. You know, that to me always kind of seemed reasonable. And I always felt like the girls were pretty oppressed by the whole dinner thing, just because a lot of guys wouldn't really take them. But also like the bar. Yeah. Like there was a bar in Long Beach that I went to like every night for a couple of years in a row and had like a different girl from Tinder at the bar. Like over and over and over. And it's the same employees every night.
Yeah.
And they're just looking at me like, bro, like you have a problem.
Yeah.
What the fuck is like you're here again with a different fucking random girl?
Yeah, Tinder. That had to be like hella years ago.
Yeah, that was a wild part of my life.
Back before it was bots and like a bunch of random shit.
That's how it feels?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been on the apps in like 3+ years, but that's how it was. It was like bots, or it was like chicks that don't respond, or trans.
I know all the porn girls I know just get banned from Tinder and shit because it's like there's so many people scamming and pretending to be them using their pictures that they just can't survive on the platform, which is pretty crazy to me.
So they were trying to like find dates?
Yeah, just trying to fucking find dudes on there, but like there's so many people pretending to be them that their faces get flagged as like impersonators automatically, I guess.
Damn, we live in a fucked up timeline of chicks that are porn stars got to be on an app to try to find.
Well, they're trying to find more of like a normal thing, because when you're in the fucking porn world, these guys are like a certain type of dude, and a lot of times girls are trying to find like a more normal dude. Mm-hmm. But sometimes the girls will tell me that they like wait a couple dates to tell the guy they do porn, and I'm like, wow, that's quite the reveal that you're like waiting on there. I feel like you should just get that out of the way.
I feel like depending on how thirsty the guy is, he'll be like, you know what, babe, it's all right, and just say fuck it. Me, I'll act like it's cool, fuck you a couple of times, and then I'm done. I'll go ghost.
Oh yeah, that was always what I was doing too. And it's kind of it's weird to hear it from their side, because it's like, damn, that's, you know, like the other day I was getting my hair cut, and I did a selfie with my barber, and it's like my barber, like, it's kind of weird. Like when he first cut my hair, I was like, this guy's like a good looking dude. Like it's kind of weird that he's like a barber, because he kind of looks like he's like a male model or some shit. And then he got super into working out and shit. And then like one day I'm scrolling through TikTok and I see this motherfucker lifting weights, and I click on it. He got 600,000 followers. I'm like, oh, I had no idea.
TikToker.
And then I post the selfie with him, and this fucking porn star girl I know DMs me and goes, oh, LOL, he hit once and then ghosted me. And I'm like, that would have been me if I fucking stayed on the singles scene. I probably would have fucked you one time and not hollered at you too.
She must have told him and revealed.
I mean, he probably got what he needed out of the situation, and he's like, what, I'm going to stick around? I'm going to just...
date a porn star?
I mean, yeah.
Damn, like... So you feel like the chicks in the industry, they taint themselves as soon as they reveal they're a porn star. Then basically, I mean...
A lot of, from what I hear from them, almost every guy just acts hella different, like hella weird. The girls don't like it. They feel like, you know, I've heard from so many girls that the guys just say, I know you fuck all these giant dicks. Or some variation of that, like some variation of them feeling very, very intimidated by knowing that this girl has fucked dicks that are 14 inches long or whatever. Which, like, the girls hate that. Or they say that the guys start doing weird moves and shit. and like trying to like really get their fuck on and like fuck them for 45 minutes or whatever it might be.
Damn. Nah, I would like, I mean, I've had chicks that were strippers and revealed that they did porn, but I mean, I'm just like, afterwards, I'm like, well, how would you resonate was your job versus us fucking? They're like, oh, I know how to do that. I'm like, wow.
Most of the porn girls I know just like, they spend that much time fucking. It's just the whole thing of like finding a guy on the outside to date. It just doesn't really seem realistic to them at a certain point.
Yeah.
So a lot of them are kind of like resigned to being single as long as they're in the industry. Yeah. But then also that's the number one thing. Like I know porn agents, and one of the biggest porn agents, this guy Mark Spiegler, he just told me like boyfriends ruin everything. Like anytime a girl gets a boyfriend, he just knows that they're on their way out the door. Damn. Like, because at a certain point, if the relationship gets serious, number one thing, they're going to stop doing porn. So for him, it's like, as soon as the boyfriend comes in the picture, his investment is slowly getting fucked up. But it's also kind of hard to tell a girl, like, I don't want you to
work.
I don't want you to fall in love.
Yeah.
I don't want you to have anything like that with these guys, because eventually they're going to probably take you away from the business that we're doing, which is weird. Because it's like, if I was managing a bunch of rappers, if they get married, that's a good thing. They're going to probably chill out and like not be all crazy and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, speaking on that topic, I remember I looked up, what's her name? I don't know if you ever heard of her, Isis Taylor.
Sounds really familiar.
Yeah, she's like a porn star, but I looked her up. I was like, damn, what's she up to? And she was like, you know, in the field playing with flowers, and, you know, she's got a dude now. So I don't know if she found somebody in the industry or not, but.
That's something I always get a real thrill out of, is going on Facebook and searching up the names of girls that I remember who are like huge whores, like girls who back in my BMX days fucked 15 of the homies.
Damn.
And then at some point, boom, they just get in a relationship with some guy and they got twins and they're got a nice little house and the guy is working as an accountant somewhere and they got a Pinterest or whatever. And it's
That's
like,
crazy.
I'm not begrudging them the ability to adapt and change. It's just kind of weird to like see a girl go from wanting to get slutted out by a different X Games gold medalist every night for a period of time, you know, going to X Games and fucking 3 different guys on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday over the course of a weekend type shit. And then at some point, they flip the switch and they just, never mind, I'm settling down.
I feel like every chick does that, though.
I'm just so fascinated by that.
Yeah, from my experience, I know a lot of chicks who, you know, hit me up at 2 a.m., fuck multiple guys, blah, blah, blah. They're married, they want to fuck. Now it's just like, okay, I'm with my husband now. Like, I give it all up.
Because feminism has kind of sold them a lie that like, oh, you're going to be happy because you're fucking a bunch of dudes. So it doesn't work.
Nah, it doesn't. There's no light at the end of the tunnel for a chick that has a crazy body count and continues to do so. Yeah.
It makes you wonder how many bodies they cop to their husband.
I know.
Quite often, I'm sure the figure is.
I mean, from my
Scaled
experience,
down.
I've had chicks like willingly tell me they're married and want to fuck. And yeah, I've had, back when I was on my crazy shit, like I've had like lots of chicks who are married, like want to get it in. I wouldn't fuck with it now, but yeah, I used to.
Yeah, now that I'm married and have a kid, it would feel so different to fuck a married woman.
Yeah, it just feels like, I don't know, it feels.
Who was like cheating. Obviously, I fuck married girls in porn all the time, but like to really like do that knowing that she's going back to her husband and that's, you know, it would feel grimy as fuck to like really try to get in between that. But I guess that's like what rappers are talking about in like 50% of their songs. It's like fucking somebody else's girl.
That's why I don't fuck rap like that anymore. I'm like, it's only so many times you could tell me you're gonna fuck my bitch. You're gonna, you know what I'm saying, gonna buy my bitch a Prius. Yeah, it's just, that's why I don't fuck rap like that anymore.
It's kind of funny talking to somebody who comes from like South Central and like very easily obviously could have got into the streets or whatever, because such a huge percentage of the people I interview come from the exact same background as you, but they decided to get into gangs and trafficking drugs or whatever the fuck it is. And it's like, what is your perspective on that always been? And like, it must feel weird because it's like your perspective is not the one that you so often hear about in the media. You hear about a dude from your circumstances and it's like romanticized that they got into a life of crime for a period of time and then made it out through rap or some shit.
I mean, my shit could have went completely different. If I would have stayed in South Central, if I'd have stayed on that block, I would have never been who I was. So it's like when I go back to that area and I see how it's just locked in time, people clearly haven't changed. Like when I go visit my family, this and that, they still got that LA mentality. Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying, my nigga? Like, they still got that LA lingo and everything. It's crazy how I think. Either I feel like I would have been, if I was still in LA, I definitely would have been on some gangbanging shit, or the typical shit everybody says. I would have been in jail, or I would have had multiple kids. I feel like me, I would have just had hella kids, been on some typical sit out in the porch, reminisce, go buy Arizonas and a bag of chips, redo the same shit every day. And I'm just like, man, I'm so glad I escaped.
Those Arizonas get the hood going crazy.
Yeah.
It's just so much sugar. I remember when I first moved to New York and started going to the skate park every day and shit, and would just see these kids just buying these $1 fucking Arizonas and just realizing like, yo, y'all drink like 4 of those fucking things in a day. Like, you know how much sugar that would be? Like, that's terrifying. Like, you're killing yourself for that shit.
It's a honey bun. The ghetto snack is a honey bun, or you got to get a purple colored drink, a red colored drink, a blue colored drink, or orange colored drink.
Your food groups.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just what you see on every hood vlog. They go grab a honey bun, grab some Swishers, and they fucking grab some sort of a colored drink.
So you're interested enough to want to see the hood vlogs and shit, but you don't personally have any interest in living that.
Going back, nah, because you're just stuck. Like, I went there, I checked out my old block, I want to say maybe 2021, and it's crazy because once I got over there again, I just knew how to navigate it so easy. I'm like, damn, I dangerously remember this area like it was yesterday. So I'm just, you make it out of a situation and you're just like glad your future was altered. I wouldn't have been who I am today, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So everything happened every time I fought, every time I went this way instead of right, every time I switched schools. I went to like 9 different schools in LA.
It's crazy that fighting games helped you get there.
I know.
It was the start of it.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's wild.
I remember playing Mortal Kombat 2 till my fucking thumbs bled.
Yeah. Damn. So you were playing the arcade?
Nah, I had like a Super Nintendo controller.
Oh, okay, yeah. Damn, MK2 and SNES. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn.
And I watched a YouTube video the other day about how when you played it in the arcade, and it's like the first 2 matches were always hella easy, and then like the third dude would just annihilate you, and they like broke down how, no, like every single time you like jump and kick the opponent or whatever, this thing happens in the games that basically like supersedes whatever control you tried to put in, and like basically made me realize that all those years I spent trying to beat Mortal Kombat 2 in the arcade where it was never going to happen.
Yeah, the computer reads you. It's designed to read you.
That's fucked up.
They don't make fighting games like that anymore. They make fighting games now to the point where if you're playing it for 3 weeks, you have the power to beat me.
Really?
Yeah. It's a casual industry now.
But there aren't GOATs in the game? Like players who are just absolutely unbelievable?
GOATs. But if we're talking about like casual, like they make it so that a casual that never played this particular game before can beat a GOAT.
Do you resent that?
I mean, yeah.
Them just making the games like kind of too friendly for the passive consumer?
Yeah, that's why I don't fuck with them like that anymore. It's just like, if I know that I could beat you in an older, more difficult game, but you could beat me in an easier, more, game that's just ABC 1, 2, 3, it just turns me off. Yeah, so just like me cutting on Street Fighter right now, just thinking about it, I have an attitude. Just if I cut on Street Fighter 6, there's an attitude.
You think they just fucked up the franchise permanently because it's just more marketable for them to have it be easier?
I mean, as far as like on a grand scale, no, but on a lower scale, as far as difficulty and like that dense, only the best could do it.
Right.
That shit is out the window. Like you still got some of the best, but for the most part, now it changes up and shakes things up a little bit more. Because like I said, somebody could be better than you in 90 days.
You know what I have a real problem with? Puzzle games.
So
Tetris stole a huge percentage of my life.
Yeah, I'm good at Tetris.
There used to be a game called Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo or some shit for PlayStation.
I remember that.
Wasted so much of my life on that for a period of time. And then just last night, I found out about this thing called the watermelon game.
What's that?
I'm scrolling through YouTube, and there's a Tetris player named fucking Tafo, who I'm still subscribed to, and I just see that he's playing this game called the watermelon game, and it's basically like a bunch of fruits that fall down and they join together, and there's a whole evolution chart of like if 2 red cherries come together, they form an apple, and the 2 apples come together and it forms a melon, and the goal is like to go through that evolution of joining all these pieces together till you get a watermelon, which is the biggest fruit you can get. And then if you get 2 watermelons and they touch, boom, they disappear. And therefore, you could play the game infinitely if you were able to really just keep getting watermelons over and over and over. And then I searched it and I found a video of Ludwig playing it. So I guess it is kind of a thing and it's having a moment right now.
Yeah.
I found out about it last night and proceeded to immediately play it for like 3-4 hours straight and ended up going to bed late because I just couldn't stop fucking playing. And it really feels like crack.
It's on PC?
It's on Switch and I think all the systems and stuff, but then you can also just go to type the watermelon game into Google and it just comes right up, and it's kind of like a weird, not as good physics version of it, because like that's part of it is the pieces are falling together and they're like bouncing and the pieces are like falling all over the place. It's got like very cool physics engine or whatever to it that definitely adds like another element to it, but I'm just so susceptible to that.
Sounds like Bejeweled.
It's kind of, yeah, it's like that.
Yeah.
But the physics engine has all the pieces sort of very like dynamically like falling together and stuff.
Dynamic. Okay.
They're all like rolling all over the place and shit like that. It's like, I just have a real problem when I like a video game. It just steals my life from me.
I think I'm going to try it now.
That's why when the Zelda came out, the new Zelda a couple months ago or whatever, I was just like, I'm not doing it. I can't give up this much of my life. Like it's going to rob me of months of my life.
That's why if I'm not streaming, I'm not gaming. That's just my thing. I'm not streaming, I'm not gaming.
I'm not good enough at Zelda to play it on stream.
Yeah.
When you play a game on stream, you start to realize how good you are or about how bad you are.
People like me to fuck up. That's my thing. They want to see me fail at everything. So when I'm playing a game, they want me to die. They want me to lose. Like that's been my niche. They don't want me to win. If I win, it's boring.
Because you used to always play like the least desirable characters, right? And is that where the low tier god thing came from?
That's where it came from, yeah. It all started with that. I would play the lower tier characters like, damn, okay, then I'm the low tier god.
So who's the weak ass characters in Street Fighter usually?
Depends. In today's day and age, probably like any DLC characters.
Okay.
Like mostly DLC characters. Usually the legacy characters is still the ones that still work. You know, Ken, Ryu, Guile, stuff like that. But yeah, anything that's DLC has the potential to be either really busted or horrible.
Really?
Yeah.
You want to know how deep my stripes go in the fighting game community, which I've actually never had any involvement in. But when I was in like 3rd grade, I wrote a letter to Nintendo Power magazine.
Oh shit, Nintendo
explaining why Dalsin was the best Street Fighter character. And I think this was like the era where like Street Fighter 2 or Street Fighter 2 Turbo would have been like the main game or whatever. And I basically said in the letter, in my like, 9-year-old brain or whatever, I was like, Dalsin is clearly the best character because he can stretch his arms out and he can breathe fire.
Damn.
And they published that.
Oh, they published it.
I get the idea I was not right.
Yeah. I mean, nah, that's the name of the game to this day. When you play them, that's what it is.
This is all about the stretchy arms and the fire.
Exactly. You can't get past that character. If somebody's a guru with that character, good luck.
That's just crazy to me. I got my letter published. That was like the biggest thrill ever to me at that point in my life.
You got to find that magazine and frame it.
Yeah, I because like somebody uploaded like the full archive of Nintendo Power, and I went and found it at one point a few years back. I would have to do it all over again. I think it was a Street Fighter cover.
It's
if anybody
eBay.
wants to find it.
Anything you want is on eBay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll find it.
What do you think the future of video games is? Because it's like every once in a while you see, okay, like the first person shooter thing gets like revolutionized by Fortnite and the Battle Royale format and everything. Mm-hmm. Is that ever going to happen again to fighting games, or are fighting games just kind of like destined to be this sort of niche category forever?
I think it'll be a niche forever, fighting games, because it's not a broad enough spectrum. So, I mean, how do you really turn a fighting game into anything Battle Royale, you know? So it's just like, I feel like fighting games are always going to be stuck in that particular category, but that's why they started making them easier, because they want more people to play. So when you dumb down the fighting game, now you have somebody that was alienated before, feel like, okay, now I could play this shit too.
Right.
So that's why they make the fighting games easier now, because they're trying to make them more mainstream instead of stuck in a particular category.
It's like, what could they possibly do to really switch things up to make it more marketable? It's kind of hard to think of like where the genre would go that would make it have a wider appeal, like the way that Fortnite was able to kind of capture a lot of people who never really like or who thought that they were done with first-person shooters and stuff.
Well, what they're doing is modern controls. So modern controls, I press 2 buttons instead of doing directional, and a button. Now I just press 2 buttons for a super.
Really?
So yeah, that's what every fighting game is doing now. There's modern controls.
And do you feel like that takes a lot away from it?
I mean, yeah, but that's what the companies want because I mean they got to make their money. So if you could play with modern controls and I got to play traditional and you could beat me with modern, that's the goal. They want more people to play that never played fighting games before to be able to beat you with 2 buttons, 1 button. As fucked up as it sounds, that's the name of the game.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, everything has modern controls. Tekken, Street Fighter, all of it. Mortal Kombat. Yeah, well, actually, does Mortal Kombat have it? Nah, they just made their game easier.
Well, okay, you tell me if I'm wrong. It feels like, because like my kid's real into Mario, so sometimes I'll put on fucking videos of people playing like the more recent Mario games.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like you never see a side-to-side scroller Mario game anymore. It's all like some weird 3D thing where you could travel into the background or whatever. But then at a certain point, people were acting like, oh, now it's Tekken, like, 2D fighting games are over. But then that doesn't feel like it really panned out, right? Like all the popular fighting games now are 2D.
Yeah, I mean, the only popular 3D fighting game is Tekken.
Right.
That's it. But that's been the marquee 3D fighting game. I mean, there was a bunch of trash 3D fighting games in the past, but
Right.
I mean, the one that stood the stands of time is
But it's just a
Tekken.
camera angle anyway, right?
I mean, it's different movements. It's not just back and forth like a side step.
Oh, you could
like,
sidestep, yeah. Okay.
yeah, definitely. Like, I'm not gonna beat anybody who's a professional Tekken pro. Like, it's not gonna happen unless I'm just really playing with those type of players all the time. So Tekken over time has kept that thing about it where it's just not built for norms unless you really go in the lab and really play with these top players. Street Fighter's not like that.
Are there any like classic fighting games that are extremely niche that you have some love for that are just very, very, because I'm thinking like Clay Fighters for Super Nintendo. You remember that?
I do.
Claymation, like there was a snowman and shit.
The only one that really hits like that for me is like Street Fighter 3 Third Strike.
Yeah, I don't
Because
know that.
it's the most difficult Street Fighter game. Like, it's not rewarding. If you're trash, you're not beating me, vice versa. Like, I can't beat a pro at Third Strike, but I could beat, like, I'm good at it, but I'm not beating, like, a Japanese pro.
When I was a kid, I would always get the video game magazines and they would have articles about Neo Geo. But it was like $700 or some shit, and like the games were like $200 or some shit. So it was like totally like never gonna happen. But then they started to bring like Samurai Showdown to the consoles and stuff, and I was fucking super into that shit.
They brought it back. Samurai Showdown dropped, I want to say maybe like 4 or so years ago, but it was just trash. Like it didn't resonate to today's fighting games whatsoever. It was just really slow. It was just boring. It's just like, this shit's trash.
Yeah. It's a tough marketplace these days for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, they'll figure it out. Modern controls, you could pick up the shit and probably beat me.
You're making me want to do that. Maybe once I'm done with the watermelon game. I'm just hoping that it's like a week-long addiction and not like a multi-month addiction, because that...
Is it one player or is it online?
It's online.
Oh, see.
No. It's one player, at least what I've been doing so far. I wouldn't be surprised if they come out with a 2-player version, but I haven't got it on Switch yet because it looks way sexier on Switch. Like the pieces are just bouncing and moving way better than the desktop version.
Oh, okay. So you're playing on desktop. Yeah. See, if it had online, I could get addicted to it. Like my thing is I like playing shit online. I like beating humans and shit. So, yeah. Now, if there's back-to-back, you got a screen, I got a screen like Tetris, yeah. But by myself, I'd be like, damn, I want to play online.
I got so into Tetris 99.
Yeah.
It took over my life.
Just played it yesterday.
I set a standard for myself that if I won 10 battle royales in a row, then I would stop. And I did. I hit 10, and then I haven't played it since.
Oh, you actually got first place on 99?
10 times in a row, yeah.
Damn. So you know how to T-spin?
I'm pretty good at T-spinning, but there's another level of T-spin, like I forget what it's called, that I never really bothered to learn. But there's a guy named Wumbo on YouTube who I'm subscribed to who plays Tetris 99 like a motherfucker. Like I've never seen anything like it in my life. And I got like obsessed with him, and I got obsessed with learning the T-spin. And
yeah. The highest I got with no T-spins is third place.
Really?
Yeah, I just drop shit fast, and I just move fast. But T-spinning, if I was to T-spin, Yeah, I don't T-spin. I just drop everything fast.
Nah, T-spinning is essential. Yeah, I was trying to win games just by doing like getting Tetrises, getting 4 lines at a time for a while, and then once I started to do the T-spins and I really started to set it up for multiple T-spins in a row, that's when I started to really like.
That's how you destroy the game. Yeah. With the T-spins, yep. Tetris Splash is like, to me, that was the best one ever.
It's scary to play a game just knowing that there's an army of Asian people on the other side of the world who are just going to be better at this game than you, no matter what you do.
Puyo Puyo Tetris, when I see...
Oh my God, I've watched people play that and I never actually played it myself, but it looks so gnarly.
Yeah, it is. When I see like anybody from Japan, I know I'm gonna lose. As soon as they hop on the screen, it's over.
I play Pokemon Go, and when you go to Japan, it is just like everyone is playing Pokemon Go.
Damn, really?
It's fucking trippy.
Wow.
And then you come back to America and nobody plays it, and I feel like a loser again.
Nobody plays. I mean, you can find streamers who play it, but for the most part, yeah, I would say that's definitely like an overseas game.
I'm friends with Ninja on Pokemon Go, and he just randomly will like invite me to raids in the game, and that just fucking weirds me out that this guy's like playing games for a living and then also will just play Pokemon Go in his spare time.
Damn.
I'm like, what are you doing?
Wait, Go is when you go outside.
Yes.
Oh, damn. Yeah, last time that was like a big thing in what, 2016?
2016, yeah.
Yeah, 2016. Damn. I didn't know people still played that.
I know, it's deeply embarrassing for me as a person who played it every single day since it came out.
Damn.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Okay, so what's the future for you? Like, where do you see your career going? You seem like you're in a pretty good place, especially for somebody who has this whole reputation of being all conflicted and crazy and shit. You seem like you're pretty happy with where you're at right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'm definitely blessed for sure. Like, considering where I came from, definitely blessed to still have a fan base, still be here for so many years. I do have personal goals for myself. I love streaming. I do miss doing YouTube, but obviously that's out the window. I mean, my next thing is I would love to just conquer something else, like acting. Like, it's difficult, it's hard. When you read a script and you're trained, it's just like, damn, I'm trash. But just like the high of being able to get good at doing something so difficult like that, like that's what I would love to do.
Yeah, that's like
want to stream
the craziest mountain to climb because it's just like a social challenge as well. You have to like meet people and slowly worm yourself into these positions, right?
Yeah, you know, people like Pedro Pascal, like if you look at his Wikipedia, he's been acting since like the early 90s. And he just now got a buzz with like 4 years ago.
Really?
To the point where it's just like, okay, that's Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm fans of actors instead of just like rappers and shit like that. Like, I like people who study the craft, who do the craft. Like, it's the most difficult art form. So, I mean, I still want to stream. Because now streaming, you can make more than an actor. And
now streaming is like easy to you. That's just like the thing that you can just plunk your ass down and do it for 6 hours and it's whatever. Whereas it's good to have the thing that you're an expert at and the thing where you're like trying to climb this impossibly huge fucking mountain that feels like you're never going to get to the end.
Yeah, and that's how I feel about acting. Like, I'm like, damn, if I could pull this shit off, everything I said I wanted to do is like in fruition. Like, damn. So that would be like the climax for me of life, is becoming like, even if I'm like a B or C tier, I don't give a fuck. Just as long as I'm like some form of an actor.
Right.
Then after that, you know, I'd just like to be 80 years old and just die on Mars in like a underground or bubbled city. Yeah.
I saw some video footage of Mars with like audio added in of what it would actually sound like with the wind and shit. And I'm like, I don't think I want to go there.
Yeah. I mean, if it's built up, that's like my dream. Just go to a different galaxy or something like that. But we'll probably never see it. But
no fresh air would be tough.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only thing I would miss about Earth. Is the fresh air. But yeah, just to be like 80 something and just like die on a different planet, that would be dope.
I went to Wyoming one time and the fresh air just was like, oh my God, like what the fuck am I doing in LA?
It hit different.
So different.
Yeah, a lot of people are leaving LA though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I seen an article where Chris Brown said, I'm done with California.
Right.
I'm out of here.
Elon Musk and Joe Rogan are probably inviting him out to the comedy mothership.
Yeah, a lot of celebrities are selling their LA homes and they're getting the fuck out of Dodge.
It's crazy to be like basically a professional clout chaser. It's like I can't leave because it's like I have to stay as close as possible to where the famous people or the interesting people or the people who just make for good podcasts are going to be at.
So you feel like you're going to stay in LA forever, or?
It's like I don't really know how I would leave at a certain point. And then and also it's like a crazy thing happens when your kid is in school.
Okay.
And you just realize like, oh fuck, if I were to ever want to leave, it would be a huge thing.
Yeah, my thing is I would never want to like leave Cali, but I would like to have like another place somewhere else where I could like escape here and there. But out of all the places I've been, like nothing tops Cali. Yeah, just nothing tops it.
I love New York because I love like the energy of the city and there's that electrifying feeling of like waking up and you can hear the city moving and you walk outside and there's people just moving around everywhere. But then also that's like being kind of high profile, that feels a lot less cool. It makes it actually feel very dangerous and like really like not the energy I want to be around.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
But then I also like when I lived in Austin back in the day and shit, it's like I do like that Texas vibe of everything being kind of wide open, which Austin is not a good example of that, but just down south having some more room to yourself and everything, that feels attractive to me. But for now, I'm definitely not.
Yeah, just Cali.
I'm just stuck here. Yeah. Bunch of gangbangers and prostitutes.
Depending on where you're at, like one corner is like this and then the next corner is like some top tier apartments they're building.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely LA for you. That's the LA area for you. Yep.
I'm just gonna keep going for it until I feel like I'm sufficiently irrelevant, and then I'll dip off and just be like, all right, I'm gonna go to Hawaii or some shit.
That's what everybody does.
That's the dream.
Yeah, I'm done with Cali.
But I'm not gonna give it up until the clout really like kicks me out and like is just like, no, we have no use for you in this ecosystem anymore.
On some Joe Rogan type shit.
Yeah. Well, man, he was doing better than ever, and he fucking made his way to Texas. So
yeah, he just couldn't stomach it.
Yeah.
It feels. I mean, how some people feel about Vegas. I mean, feel about Cali. I feel about Vegas. So I hate Las Vegas. So
I hate everything about it besides as a poker player. I love it.
See, there's only one thing to love then. Yeah, but as far as the atmosphere, it sucks.
They got some good strip clubs.
I mean, probably that too.
Not really my thing, but I've had some electrifying experiences at the strip clubs in Vegas.
Oh shit! I mean, that's what it's bred for.
Yeah. All right. Where should they tap in with you if they've somehow watched this whole thing and they don't know what to go look at?
You guys could tap in. Low Tier God on Twitch. Low Tier God anywhere. Twitter, Twitch. But if you want to see me live, it's going to be on Twitch. That's Low Tier God spelled the correct way. That's where you can find me.
Let's go. Tap inwardly. Shout out to the fighting game community. Shout out to the hip hoppers who thought that they were about to see an interview with a new drill rapper when they clicked on this.
Yeah, this is different.
Sorry to let you down, but great conversation. Thank you, man. I appreciate your time. We got to do this again sometime.
Most definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, let me know.
Low Tier God, no jumper. Coolest podcast in the world. Check us out on YouTube, TikTok, Patreon, Instagram, etc. Like, comment, and subscribe. NoJumper.com if you want to support.